You're going to see the intro live. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I do. I get to.
Hey, welcome back to episode 80. Fuck, are we on 8?
88?
88, I think.
Should we check?
Of the number one podcast, episode 88 of the number one podcast in the world, Cellarcast. And if you're listening in right now, there's something very special about this, because not only is this a cat episode,
Hi.
she's here in the flesh with me.
Yeah.
She's usually in the Discord call, but now she's in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're here recording in Kat's house in a room that's hopefully not too echoey.
And that was fine.
I think it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I'll just noise reduce it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll sound fine. You'll put up with it. Not you. But you don't listen to this podcast.
That's not true. I've been listening to it for a while now.
All of them?
Yeah, because I need something to listen to in like 5 a.m. when these get uploaded before class.
Do you always listen to it before class?
Sometimes at the time it comes out, or before class.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. You hit that like button?
Ooh, I need to check. I probably did. Don't worry.
I think like one of the biggest tests of our relationship was when we were in the car that one time.
What car?
We were on the bus one time.
Bus.
And you were like, I was like, yeah, so I was mentioning the next video I was working on, and you're like, what happened to that other video you were doing? I'm like, it came out. I uploaded it. You're like, what?
Oh, yeah.
I uploaded it like 2-3 days ago. What are you talking about? She goes, oh, I didn't even see that. And I said, wait, do you not have noties on? Do you not hit that bell?
Oopsie.
Well, we're here to... So we didn't have any comments from last time. Well, no questions, I should say. I always make that... I call it the comment review, even though it's really like a question-answer thing. So I always say, like, we don't have any comments. But we did have comments, but no questions from last time. Which means that... I'm assuming that the bulk of this is going to be taken up by the discussion that we came here to have, and what our entire... we spent just, about 15 hours over...
We started at 11 a.m. yesterday.
And we finished out at, like, midnight, and then we finished it this morning.
Yeah.
We finished the whole thing this morning.
The whole thing.
The marathon we started last week of watching every single Fast and the Furious film.
I'm so glad it's over.
Are you?
Yeah.
Did you... Why? Like,
I didn't hate
it.
I didn't hate it, but yeah, it was just like, how much vroom, boom, and ass can we take in one sitting?
It was a lot, and like, I don't know if yesterday, because so yesterday we watched. We went from
Fast 5.
Did we start with Fast 5?
We started with Fast 5.
We did, right. So last week we did the first 4 movies. Mm-hmm. And then we did Fast 5 all the way through to Hobbs and Shaw. And then this morning we watched F9, The Fast Saga.
The Fast Saga.
Which is now, I guess, what the series is just called.
Sure. We're at 9 movies. Why not?
We're at 9 movies.
What's considered a saga? Like, how many movies do you have to be in to be considered a saga?
There's got to be like an actual definition
if it's
for
not,
what a saga is.
Because they call the Star Wars movie the Star Wars Saga, and there's 9 movies. So
that's true. Hang on. Saga definition. A long story of heroic achievement, especially a medieval prose narrative in Old Norse or Old Icelandic. Well, Vin Deisel does have Norse heritage, apparently, so...
He was in the Northman.
He was... he was the skeleton on the boat.
On the boat
that came to life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was, like, the movies got worse, or if I was just getting really fatigued, but...
I think it's a mixture.
I think it's a mixture. There's this really interesting... So to start off, this is just going to be a completely spoiler recap. I'm sorry to everyone who really cares about the plot details of the Fast and the Furious franchise. Sorry, the Fast Saga.
Fast Saga.
But we're going to probably be going over everything that is notable about them. So if you really care, then turn away. Close your ears. Uh, what are your overall thoughts on the series now? So I was under the impression last week that you'd actually seen basically seen all of them at some point. But you apparently had only seen like 7 onwards in full?
In full, I've only seen 7 onwards, bits and pieces of Too Fast and Tokyo Drift, and that's it.
Okay.
The rest of them, I've never seen in full or not at all.
So you'd never seen the original?
No.
So you hadn't
seen... So, I didn't see the original, bits and pieces of Too Fast, bits and pieces of Tokyo Drift.
Okay.
None of the 4th one, which is Fast and Furious.
Yes.
None of 5 or 6. Furious 7, I saw...
In theaters, right? Or...
No, I waited for that to come on streaming.
Okay.
8 was when I started seeing them in theaters. So I saw Fate in theaters.
That sucks ass.
Yes. I saw Fate in theaters, saw Hobbs and Shaw in theaters, and I saw F9 in theaters. That was my first ever movie at that Regal.
Don't say the name of it.
I won't say the name of it, but it's very much near my uni.
Okay.
And it's a very nice theater, and I can't believe that
you saw Fast 9.
But that was my first movie. That was the theater we saw the Batman in.
That one. That's a nice theater.
That's a nice theater to be seeing a car movie in.
To be seeing The Rock use his
I don't know if we're gonna talk
anger
about...
to push his torpedo.
That's not. No, that wasn't Fate. That was F9.
Oh,
that's
whoops!
F9.
I got those mixed up.
F9.
Yeah, sorry.
That theater was not open by when Fate was open.
What were you gonna say?
Even though my first movie at that theater was F9.
Yeah.
That was one of the best audience reactions. I don't know if we're going to talk about these in order. Are we going to talk about these in order?
Why not?
Okay, well, once I get to F9, I will talk about my audience reaction.
So, I think it's weird because you kind of have to talk about the whole series in like kind of chunks. Because because we were reading about some of the development of the like how every film, like the background, the production was really messy and weird. So the first movie just came out and it was basically a standalone, but it made a fuck ton of money. The second movie, they got Paul Walker back, but Vin Diesel didn't like the script.
He didn't like...
No, he didn't. He didn't like the script.
I thought it was for Tokyo Drift. He didn't like the script.
He didn't like either.
Okay, well, he didn't like either.
He didn't like either. So that's why he's not in that movie, and they get Tyrese Gibson, because the director of the second movie...
John Singleton. He did Baby Boy.
Did Baby Boy with Tyrese Gibson. I don't want to do another fucking segment of me laughing at
Shayla Ross. For anyone that wants to know, you can watch the video.
Go watch the clip.
You should link it in the description.
Oh, I should.
You should. Just for people that want to watch it.
You know, what's crazy is apparently people don't like Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, 30-something% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know. That
I don't use Rotten Tomatoes anymore, but like, really? Because I think it's better than the first one. I personally think
apparently it's like a widely...
Not very
disliked, considered one of the worst, which is crazy when Fate of the Furious exists.
I'll save that for the movie. We'll save that.
Third movie was Tokyo Drift, and it was basically supposed to be a reboot.
Because they couldn't get anyone back.
Because they couldn't get anyone back, they basically convinced Vin Diesel to come in to shoot for one day.
One cameo.
For a cameo at the very end of the movie. And then... Oh, you know what's weird?
What?
Because remember we read the Han's character is technically from
another movie.
That director's previous movie with the same... It's literally the same character.
Yeah. Same name, same last name, same actor.
Same actor, everything.
So that movie by proxy is in the universe.
So Tokyo Drift was supposed to be like
a new beginning.
A new beginning. We're going to a new setting, new characters. We're going to focus it back on street racing, and then it bombed. It did super badly compared to the first two. We looked at the numbers results. It was like 20-30 million compared to the first two that made 70 and 80 or something like that worldwide. Insane.
Oh, no. Yeah. Wait, 200 million for the first two?
Yeah.
And the Tokyo Drift only did 100 million, which is not good.
Yeah, so...
And apparently Universal really believed in that movie because for a while in the studio tour that they had... They had a little section dedicated to Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift.
It's this little it's actually kind of cool. They flip actual cars around and actual explosions.
Okay.
I'm oh, that's cool. I just wish it wasn't for Tokyo Drift that they had so much faith in.
That's weird because that's not one of the crazy ones. I wouldn't say.
It's the least.
There's one explosion and it's
And
it's Han fucking
dying.
explode, but not really.
We'll get to that.
Oh my God.
We'll get to that.
Okay. So that movie bombed super hard, and they were like, fuck. So it went on ice for like a few years. Mm-hmm. And then basically they made a script for... So weirdly, I think the reason the fourth movie is just called Fast and Furious is because it's like a weird, like... soft reboot sort of like restart
of a reboot.
Like let's take another crack at this. And I think Vin Diesel I genuinely think he only agreed to do it because that's the movie where he starts being like a cryptid.
Or Wednesday Addams.
He starts being Wednesday Addams.
He is like this torturous fucking being who like
I'm just turning the volume down a little bit. Yeah.
He's like this torturous being that like tries to get like info out of like the bad guys in like the most
he just appears.
Yes.
He's like a monster.
Yeah.
So you did not like Fast and Furious.
Okay.
Right?
If you guys want to know my thoughts on the first four, thought the first one was okay.
Yeah.
Really liked the second one.
Me too.
And I hated Tokyo Drift and Fast and Furious. Yeah. Did not like them. They're very boring.
When I said that you have to kind of think of them in chunks, the first two movies really feel like an original and like they feel like they go together. And there's like this weird break with Tokyo Drift where it's like I noticed this really in like the directing and the color grading. Because the first two movies, part of it is that they take place, not even really, because part of it is like they take place in LA and Florida. And they're really like warm films.
Very,
like a lot of orange and yellow and like warm colors and stuff.
Very Y2K.
Yeah, like saturated.
Very saturated.
Saturated and colorful. And then I think it's interesting because there's like a scene in Furious 7 where they're still in LA, but it's like blue.
It's like it's cold dark. And it's weird. Very cold. Yeah. And we'll talk about why I think that is.
So, Tokyo Drift is like this weird like break because it was supposed to be a reboot where that movie, it looks different, but that makes sense because it's like, oh, it's a different setting. They're in Tokyo. They're like, it's all specifically, it's like, what does an American guy in 2004 think Tokyo looks like? Neon! It's fucking neon everywhere.
Neon. It very
neon in the neon.
it feels like, it looks like a Dreamcast game. And
you pointed that out.
I pointed that out, and I'm like, had the Dreamcast lasted when that movie came out, that would have been like a perfect
Fast and Furious
cross promotion, maybe.
That would have been sick. And then Fast and Furious is where it starts to get kind of like everything looks a little duller.
Very dreary. Yeah, very dreary movie.
That's a
not just how it looks, but just how the movie is.
Yeah, it's like really dark. It's like the whole plot is it's like a revenge story. The first of many revenge stories.
Oh, we'll get a lot of those.
We'll get a lot of revenge stories. It's also where the series starts to become so part of the intent was like the first movie was like really about street racing. Like it's all in that world. The second movie kind of like that.
It starts you can see it starts to crack at the peaks of like being heist espionage movie.
Yeah, I think like the first movie is
very
like,
street racing.
It's like it's still like a crime drama thriller action thing,
but street racing is like it's front and center.
It's in street racing, right? It's like, hey, let's do a movie about street racing, but here's the twist that makes it interesting and not just a straight street racing movie. And then it feels like it almost reverses with Fast and Furious, where it's like, let's do soap opera crime revenge story, but the gimmick is that we're gonna drive cars really fast. Sort of. So that was where we left off last week.
Okay.
Fast 5.
This is when
that movie goes hard as fuck. That movie's so cool.
I had to think about what I thought about it.
Yeah?
Not that it's bad. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's much better than the last two. But I think it's...
Okay.
It's still...
Last two is in 8 and 9?
Last two as in 3 and 4.
Okay, sure.
But I still... It feels more like a setup movie. More like...
Really? You think so?
I think it's like, oh, we have this foundation. I feel like it's setting up like this foundation of what the next... of pretty much what the rest of the franchise is going to be like from that point on. but I don't think it's the strongest.
I feel like it's the opposite way.
Really?
It feels like it's the culmination of everything from the first 4 movies, basically, except for like Tokyo Drift.
Or that.
Because that's like
a little bit.
Because it was apparently written to be the finale, and then it wasn't because it made $1 billion.
That's true. I guess I can see that. Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're bringing everyone back, even that fucking guy from the spinoff.
Yeah.
Who was like the one guy people liked. And it's like the Avengers.
You know what? Yeah, I retract what I said. I guess that could be like the Avengers. Yeah. Sure.
It's literally like the Avengers movie, like the 2012 Avengers of the Fast and the Furious. It's like, here's all these characters, and now they're coming back together, to do this big heist with lots of cars. And it's really interesting that there's supposed to be like 10, or I guess going on, there's gonna be like 11 movies because they're gonna just split up.
11 will be the last one.
Yeah, they're gonna split the last
two.
They're gonna Hunger Games it.
Hunger Games of Avatar, Twilight.
They're gonna Harry Potter it.
Uh-oh.
5, it's almost perfect because 5 is like the tipping point for the whole series, where it's like, now it's just like a heist crime thriller, and then they just it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! But cars, like I said. But then also at the end, it just always happens to involve, we have to drive cars really fast.
Yes, that is always going to be the climax, or as you put it, super climax.
The super climax. Not always, actually. Not all of them have a super climax.
Not all, but a grand majority of them do end like that.
Yeah, you know what has a super climax? You know what has a super climax?
What does?
Ultramarines, the Warhammer 40k.
We'll save that for the other side.
Anyway.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. So you didn't like, I think I like Fast 5 more than you do.
I think it's just fine. I think it's the best way I can call it is serviceable.
Really?
Because after watching the rest of them, like,
really,
I think there are a handful that are better than this one. I think it's in the side that's better.
Okay.
It's not Tokyo Drift or Fast and Furious. It's far from those. But I think it's not as good as, say, Too Fast, or I'll even say 6, which
I know you like 6 more.
We'll get to 6.
So I want you to tell me, what do you like about 6 more than 5?
I think 6 has more enjoyable moments, and I think that. Okay, I guess since we're going into 6,
compare.
I think the climax, it feels like it's just like, even though was supposed to be the finale, Fast 5 has about like a few interesting character exchange. I like the character exchanges a lot. I think the dynamic between the family of everyone, I think works.
Yeah.
But I think I like it more in 6 because I feel like 6, I think, is when they start to embrace how insane this franchise is. That whole plane super climax.
Okay.
That is fucking insane.
Okay.
That
was really good.
That is it. Not only is it's good, and it stays within the limits of physics, which we'll get to with the later movie.
Don't fucking talk about physics after the fucking vault scene.
Okay.
From 5.
Them pulling out a vault with 2 cars.
I'm not even that. Like the of like them swinging it around with the car.
Simon Belmonting the safe.
Yeah, the safe.
True, but at least I can believe that.
Okay.
The plane and all the Looney Tune antics that happens in that plane.
You called it Looney Tunes.
I called it Looney Tunes because I'm like, the way they're fighting, you could take that scene of the plane.
Yeah.
And edit like Looney Tunes or Ed and Eddie or Rocko's Modern Life, like sound effects. Yeah. Put the Benny Hill theme over it, and I think nothing would change. It's just it's pretty much. I think F6 is Fast 5 cranked up a little bit. It's like okay, we know what you guys like. We'll give you a little more of that.
Okay, what I like about 5 more than 6 is that in my eyes, 5 is like the more balanced one.
It is very balanced.
And I think 5 is like, we have all the characters in one place, and with the whole series in perspective, it's like, this is going to sound weird, but it's like the most pure versions of the characters.
I can see that, yeah.
There's this kind of phenomenon that happens with everyone, weirdly, and it starts in 5, and then where like every character like doesn't, flanderize isn't the right word, but they get like
bastardized, maybe.
No, they get like molded into something different
Later on.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Like the biggest one is obviously Tyrese.
Who we'll talk about.
We can talk about him right now.
Oh, we can talk about him right now. Okay, fine.
Okay, so there's a scene. Okay, so Tyrese, he was in Too Fast, Too Furious, right?
And he makes his grand return
That was
in 5.
his only appearance before this. Holy shit, Tyrese is back! Oh my god, he Fast 5 the whole crew's to get... That's such an awesome scene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck, it's Han from Tokyo Drift!
It's ludicrous.
Oh, it's ludicrous! Dude, the whole gang's all here! Yeah. They're all gonna pull off this heist, it's so cool! There's a scene where Tyrese says, like, where Dominic lays out the plan of what they're going to do. There's a heist. We're going to take we're going to steal all the money from the top drug kingpin who runs Rio.
Yeah.
And Tyrese in Too Fast, Too Furious, the plan was like, okay, yeah, we're going up against this big, like, drug king, like, smuggler guy. But, like, they had police help. There was all this stuff around them, like you could see, and also he was doing it to like, he was working for, he was gonna get forgiven for his crimes. He was gonna get clemency, for it. So he had like a really strong motivation, and he at least had like a safety net that you could see. I see why this character would like take a chance on this. And in Fast 5, he has like a very normal reaction for the kind of character he's like established in Too Fast as like. A very, like, he's emotional, right?
Yes.
He just kind of lets it out. He doesn't really, like, he's not... Brian's, like, the cool, collected guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyrese, Roman, is, like, really... He wears his emotions on his sleeve, or his lack of sleeves in a lot of scenes. So he goes, like, you're telling me that we're gonna try to take down the biggest drug kingpin of Rio, who runs the whole city and has the police in his back pocket, and he's just talking about how crazy the situation is, and the only reason they're doing it is because Dominic Toretto is mad.
He's pissed.
He's pissed because Vince is his name from the first movie.
From the first movie, yeah,
I think it's Vince. Yeah, Vince, because Vince gets shot in like a. He's like a casualty of like a thing that happens where they're trying to get them back.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, wait. He has a very natural, regular, like sensible reaction where he goes, wait, we're doing all this because this dude I've never met that is my friend of a friend is really mad about this other person I don't know.
Yeah.
What the fuck, dude? That scene becomes his entire character for the rest of the series.
And each movie it gets
more.
It gets more. I don't know if I'd say worse, but it gets it's insane. It's almost self-aware by the time we get to the 9th movie.
It like that scene devours his entire character from the inside out.
Yeah, it's like the turning point of his character.
Yeah, exactly. That's why 5 is the tipping point for so many of these. Like every single line he has in the like increasingly over the rest of the movies is just, this is crazy. What the hell? What's going? No way, dude. Oh, but there's money?
He's the reaction of
he's the fucking, he's like the mascot.
Yeah.
What?
He's like the Anya of the team.
He makes big old expressions.
Yeah, he makes very funny expressions too, like Anya.
It also happens to like Ludacris. Tej, I think is the character's name. So when he shows up, also in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's just he's the cool guy to know. He runs the mechanic shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then he weirdly acts like he never had that in Fast 5. And like he wants to open a new one. Remember that?
Maybe he went bankrupt.
Maybe he went bankrupt.
He wants it back.
He was hosting too many...
When they showed at the end, it kind of looked like the one from Too Fast, Too Furious.
It's a prequel. That would get really screwy. No, it's not. No, there's no way it is. They just drop it. It just doesn't be.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where Ludacris, they identify the vault, right? That is that the bad guy's keeping his money in.
Yeah.
And Ludacris basically says, "Oh, I know what that vault is and how you would get into it." And they go, "How do you know that?" And he says, "I had a life before." I had a life before you knew me or something.
Yeah, and he refuses to elaborate.
He refuses to elaborate, and it's just like it just kind of left at that. And you're like, okay, fine, sure. He knows some stuff about maybe doing some illegal cracking into safes and stuff like that. And then from after Fast 5, his entire character becomes Hacker Man.
Yes, and it's like
Or
never explained.
Blacker Man, if you will. As Tyrese would say.
Tyrese would say that.
2 different lines throughout this series where he combines
Black and like another word.
One is, what is it, Blarub?
Blarub.
When he's hitting
Black
on
Arab.
he's hitting on like some, is he hitting us on some women or something? Or
An
is he,
18-year-old woman, supposedly.
was that her, was that where that scene is? Or
That's
is
from
he,
F7, right?
Or was he talking about how he wants to be like a sheik or something?
No, that's from Furious 7.
Okay.
That's when he's being a distraction.
Yeah, and then what's the other time he says combines black and another word? What is it?
That was the one I laughed so hard. It was in Fate of the Furious where he said, that's right, that's what you are. Blana? Black Santa? And I lost it.
Blana?
The reaction of the guy that gets called Black Santa is like the best. And,
It's just a forklift operator.
Yeah, it's a literal forklift certified man.
Just a black guy with a beard.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my god, Tyrese.
Vin Diesel becomes Muscle Man. Vin Diesel's slightly more fleshed out, like he has motives. Like he has agency in the plot. He's not just like...
He's just not like...
Oh, fuck. I forgot. Maybe the biggest example of this is fucking Hobbs.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Hobbs
in the
yet.
first movie, in Fast 5, Hobbs, Dwayne Johnson's character, is like a very strong, big human being.
He's Hercules.
He's really big, right?
He's a
You're
big
like, okay,
man.
this is a big-ass dude. Every movie afterwards, he progresses into becoming a superhuman. Until you hit, like, Fast 9. What's the one where he flexes the cast off?
That's Furious 7.
That is Furious.
At the end of that movie, he's like, okay, I want to help. And he flexes.
No, you missed the biggest context. He's put in the hospital at the start of the movie because a fucking like bomb exploded 20 feet away from him and sent him out of like the
window.
The second story window. He crashes onto a car head first or back first. Breaks like every bone in his body. He's in the hospital. He can't move. And by the end, and it's maybe what, like the whole movie takes place over what, like a few days, maybe.
I'd say after that, maybe
point,
a week at most.
Yeah, he stands up, says, "I'm tired of being on the sidelines" or something. He's wearing this huge cast on his whole arm, and he just flexes, and it shatters off, and he rips it off.
2 of those like fucking like cast parts probably killed someone. Probably killed his daughter.
Yeah, it like ricocheted off.
Yeah. Pew pew pew.
Like what the? It's great. Like every character gets so weird. Like they change almost every character. Paul Walker stays pretty consistent.
He's the most consistent of the characters.
Yeah, and it's funny because outside of the fact that he likes to date 17-year-olds, he's really likable as an actor. I forgot to mention that in the last. Did you
segment. Not? I thought you did.
No. I mentioned that, but I didn't mention. So there's this line in the first movie where Brian, Paul Walker's character, he's like he's hit a snag in it. They're running short on. They gotta catch this guy soon, right? And he says like, I just need some more time. And the CIA chief goes like, you want time? Buy the magazine, which is a great line. And then when we were watching it, I responded to the screen with, yeah, Paul Walker, you want 17? Buy the magazine.
I forgot you said that.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that joke.
I can tell you're very proud of that joke.
You want 17? Yeah, I guess Mia stays relatively normal.
Her character is pretty the same.
By Furious 7... Furious 7's weird because she acts like not how you would expect a regular person to act, which is this guy shows up to their house, tries to kill them. Or is that... No, he sends the bomb to their house, tries to kill them, and they find out this is the guy that killed Han. And then she goes, instead of being like, oh my god, Brian, we have a child together, you can't go. She goes, go be a action hero guy, Brian.
Last action hero.
It's so weird. It's like she's like fucking Darth Sidious. Do it, Brian. Get in the car.
Get in the car.
It's like Evangelion. Get in the car, Brian.
Yeah, get in the car, Brian. Do what you need to do.
Oh, Fast Five has that awesome line from The Rock where he goes like, it's in the trailer where he goes like, whatever you do, don't let them get in a car.
Does he say that?
Yeah, he says that when he's
God.
at the start when he's briefing his team about the Furious Squad. So fuck, where were we? We were kind of going chronologically. I guess to finish my thoughts of Fast Five was that it's like the most balanced movie where crazy shit happens, like they pull a vault out of a wall and they swing it around on the street with chains and stuff.
Yeah, like I said, Simon Belmont safe.
Yeah, and 6 is, I think you like it, and you like it for reasons that I like it less. There's actually a lot of things that I like about 6, because it is really fun.
I think of all the films, I think I enjoyed this one the most.
6?
6, surprisingly. If I have to think about it, I think that one
is because it has Michelle Rodriguez back.
We'll talk. Yeah, if you guys don't know, this is the return.
It's Letty's back. Letty thought she was dead, but it's she's actually alive.
Damn, I'm alive. What? I feel like they like each other because their voices are both
Holy
so
shit.
deep.
You want to talk about that?
What?
You want to talk about the scene where Hobbs shows up, Dominic is chilling with his little Brazilian babe
from the last
movie, who I guess they hooked up because they shared 2 seconds of eye contact. And dude, everyone loves Dom. Everyone just is like magnetically attracted to Dom.
Right?
Yeah.
It feels like everyone just... Who do I go to for help? Dom.
Like you don't know anyone else who can drive good?
Exactly.
So he shows him the photograph that Letty is alive. Letty, who they grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
They were at least in a relationship for, it felt like a 10-year relationship.
10-year relationship.
Like dating. And then later, after the first movie, they got married, which is what we find out later.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks she's dead. Holy fuck. She died while he was away. And she died trying to clear his name.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, imagine the guilt and all that stuff. And now to find out that she's alive. And what is his reaction? He just kind of stares. And this is where I specifically coined Vin Diesel's special acting technique, which I called micro acting. Which is where he, like, tries to make expressions and, like, they kind of, like, wiggle on his face. And
it reminds me of, like the acting in Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. I'm like, these people can't act.
What acting? It's just still images and
exactly
voiceover.
Look at those. Have you seen those expressions? They're just as bad as Vin Diesel's.
Take your damn clothes off.
No.
I don't wanna. I disagree.
You would say that, yeah.
Which one? What's that scene? Is
it in 5?
Yes, it is in 5 because they're in Rio.
Yeah.
Where they find where they're
Hobbs.
We need to take a break, and like for no reason they have this scene where they're chilling out. They're like, oh, we need to have like a street racing culture scene. So they're just hanging out with some cars and a bunch of people from Rio, and Hobbs and his like special ops squad pulls up, and they're like, we're here to arrest you, but first we're going to talk to you for like 5 minutes, instead of like a regular federal arrest, which is that like they just fucking run in and grab you.
Exactly.
And he's like, you're under arrest, and Vin Diesel just goes, no, I don't feel under arrest, dude. Why don't you put some fucking cuffs on me? Why don't you like put
I plead the fifth.
Why don't you put a little lip lock on me, dude? Why don't you fucking bend me over the car and dude? Then maybe I'd feel under arrest, Mr. Federal Agent. Oh God. So yeah. So the reason that six starts to lose me. Because 6 is where, okay, every movie up to that point had been the stakes were kind of in control.
They were
it's it gets
relatively believable.
Yes, it gets stepped up. It's like the first movie is Vin Diesel wants to watch 1,000 DVD copies of Shark Tale.
Yes.
The second movie is there's a drug kingpin. Third movie,
there's a race.
There's a race.
That's it.
Sean Bama Boy 93.
Bama Boy 93
has to win the race and get the girl and beat Donkey Kong. And Fast and Furious, it's what is it? It's a cartel boss.
It's a cartel
so we're
boss.
like steadily stepping up, right?
Find the guy that killed Letty.
Yeah, and that's the added emotional punch. 5 is like we're gonna take down the guy who runs all the crime in Rio. 6 is like we have a computer chip that's gonna shut down an entire country's power for 24 hours or something like that.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is different.
I feel like this is where they start to get weird.
It starts to turn into like weird, like not pretending like it's smart James Bond.
It's James Bond on steroids.
Yeah, pretty much. That's also something that I kind of miss. I feel like as the series goes on, it gets less bro-y, and I think that's a shame.
They become more blockbuster-like, I think is a good word.
Yeah.
They feel more like, as I've said, Marvel movies. They're starting to feel like crowd-pleasing movies.
Especially, yeah. Like, it feels like one of the, like, I don't know, like Winter Soldier Marvel movies, especially, or it's
Winter Soldier,
where it's like secret missions, Black Widow.
Yes,
everyone's favorite Black Widow movie.
Whose favorite?
Everyone's. I just said.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. The first 2 movies are so, even Tokyo Drift are really bro-y. Like I feel like it was aimed for an audience of men who were like 30%, 40% in the closet and really liked cars and women. Like they really liked women. Like so much where you're like,
now not to say that they don't get rid of that.
Like, no, they don't. But like, I'm talking about scenes where Paul Walker is with the lady in the car and he's trying to impress her by looking at her and driving really fast on the road. Like a really or where he's trying to just impress some other guys, so he drives backwards on the highway.
Sure.
Like that's the shit that I loved about the first 2 movies. Actually, those are just in Too Fast. But like, yeah. It's like there's like this musk that pervades the first 2 movies.
Yes.
It feels like this is stupid dude shit. And I think it's awesome. I'm not even a car guy. But like, damn, that was really... did you see when he jumped the bridge? That was so cool. That was the other thing, is that like that felt impressive in the context of that movie.
Too Fast?
Yeah, and Too Fast, when he jumps the bridge.
The bridge that Ludacris somehow hacked.
Oh, I was gonna say at the end.
Oh, at the end. Oh, yeah.
When they jump off the bridge onto the boat.
Okay, yeah.
That feels cool. Because if I feel like as it goes on, they have to get so fucking crazy because the stakes are so high that you need stunts that like match it.
They need to basically beat themselves.
Where that's how you end up with like the goddamn Abu Dhabi scene in Furious 7. Where, what is it? It's like the only way we can escape is if we drive from one building to another by breaking through the glass.
It's Uncharted.
It's like, it's Uncharted. It's Unfarted, as you call it.
Unfarted, yeah.
So that's where 6 starts to lose me, because it's like the start of that. But at least it's like, oh, Letty's back. Oh, this villain's... He's kind of interesting. He's a different kind of villain, which I think helps. Owen Shaw.
Sure,
Owen Shaw.
Yeah. This is where we start to get the batshit crazy villains. Yeah. Villains who are just evil.
Yeah.
Pure fucking evil.
Yeah. Oh, God, the scene where at the end... Yes. We didn't even talk about the final set piece of Furious 6, which is the tank.
Oh, well, that's before the plane.
Oh my God! Right, that's the first climax.
That's the climax, and the plane is the super climax.
I totally forgot about the tank because I was thinking about the plane. The tank has that goddamn scene. He gets into the tank, and he just starts running people over.
Yeah.
For no reason.
No reason.
Just crushing people because he just likes murder.
He just wants them dead. Yeah.
And Letty's like, what the fuck? What are you doing? And he's just, I fucking love crushing people in my tank. Ever since I was a boy. I felt like we were going to get a flashback to, like, ever since I was a boy, I wanted to run people over in a tank.
He's like this Dick Dastardly, like mustache twirling villain.
He's done it all just to get into a tank and crush people.
Exactly.
So you like I would agree that 6 is definitely one of the more reined in ones.
Yeah, reined in is perfectly, but it's still
you get to the end.
Until you get to the end,
where it's like Dominic Toretto like symbolically emerges from hell. The fucking whole plane explodes, and then he drives a car out of the burning...
Like the Batman.
Like, literally like the scene in the Batman.
Yeah, the scene of the Batman.
We were both thinking about it, and like you said it first, but I was like,
it's the scene where he chases the penguin, and he comes out of the fire. I'm like, this is exactly like Dominic Toretto did it first.
Oh my god, he's the real Batman. He's like Batman in Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Where is he?
Yeah.
Where is he?
Where is he?
Where is what the fuck else happens in 6 that's interesting?
Gal Gadot dies.
Oh,
and we didn't get to talk about her character at all, I just realized.
What does she do? She's hot. She's sexy. She's
Honestly,
sexy
that's pretty much the extent of her character.
That's kind of it.
That scene in Fast 5 where she's walking to the guy like, I got this.
Dude.
And it's in slow motion.
Dude, she pulls the robe off.
The robe off, just her
just
big tits and ass are just shaking everywhere.
They're
I'm
not
like,
that big.
Well, okay. We're not doing a tit tier list for this franchise.
Should we?
No. Maybe we will.
The Fast and Furious franchise is all about skinny bitches.
That's true.
If you're a skinny bitch lover, you'll like Fast and Furious.
We can do a tier list on that if people want it.
It's top 10 Fast and Furious skinny bitches. Number 10.
Go till 89 will be proud of us.
There is nothing pedophiliac.
Pedophiliac.
Or as some people even call me, a furry. Please. Anyway.
Yeah, Gal Gadot dies, but it's like her character didn't really do much.
I felt worse for Han because he lost Gal Gadot.
He lost ass.
He lost
his
ass. Life. Yeah. And then he looked, dude. I was like, because when I'm like, oh cool, Han's gonna be in more movies. Like I know that he dies at the end of Tokyo Drift. Like I was saying that I was like, it kind of sucks that like your introductory movie to this character has him dying at the end. Like it kind of sucks. But like, oh cool, at least we get to see him. Like he's really cool. Han, the reason I like Han so much is I feel like Han would be a cool dude to know in real life. Like Han would be a cool ass dude.
He looks like the guy that'd be at like every like fighting game
tournament.
He'd just be like, mm-hmm.
He's eating. That's not me like eating cock. That's Han eating snacks. He's always eating snacks. I love that about him. And he's just immediately like, Gal Gadot?
Mm-hmm. He gets to bang a literal goddess. Literal Wonder Woman.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, cool. So, and I'm like, wait. So he ends, because they mentioned going to Tokyo. Like a few times. He comes up a few times in a few lines. And I'm like, oh, so obviously they went to Tokyo, but Gal Gadot is not there in Tokyo Drift. So
I guess that explains it.
Something happened. And I was kind of expecting her to die, or maybe like something like that, or they
write her out of the story, basically.
Part ways or something like that. And then she falls from a from a truck that's attached via grappling hook to a moving plane from like 20 feet in the air. And
yeah, she dies.
Her tiny little skinny bitch twig figure shatters on the pavement.
And Han gets
and
so
I was like,
pissed.
fuck my man Han!
Han does get his revenge at least.
He does punch the shit out of that guy.
He punches him and throws him into like the wind turbine.
Yeah, that was awesome!
I was like, oh my god, it's like Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Like, for most of like the deaths in Fast and Furious movies are like pretty, I want to say restrained. Like not grisly. Outside of like, outside of everyone getting crushed in car crashes, like the hundreds of people who must have died as just random casualties throughout the whole series. But like you never see anything, and it's like, they just get crushed, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's like it doesn't exist. And then Han throws a man's body into a moving engine turbine.
Yeah.
And, like, it explodes.
Much like it does in The Incredibles.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck. He got fucking the fruit ninja. No, what's the NutriBullet?
NutriBullet.
No. There's one with ninja, isn't it? Ninja Slicer?
Ninja Slicer?
Ninja Juice.
Something.
Ninja Juicer. Something like that.
Yeah. Something like that.
That, and then, yeah. Why does Hobbs start liking Dominic? Because he hates him at the start. He's like, "You a criminal." He doesn't say it like, "Yo," there's my rock impression. "I don't like criminals."
Maybe it's like...
Shut up, bitch.
I love that clip.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was thinking of it maybe like it's like the Colonel in Spirit just nodding heads.
Oh, it's because he jumped a really far distance?
Yeah, both of them did.
Both of them did. Oh my god, the respect from the law to the lawless.
Yes, exactly.
Dude, if you can just jump really far on like a moving transport, on a horse, a car, who cares? You've earned the respect, and they'll just, that's like clemency. That's
clemency.
Can you imagine you go into court? It's like you have a life sentence, but you got one way out. Can you do a backflip?
It's like that episode of The Simpsons where they jump the Springfield Gorge.
I've never seen The Simpsons.
They do it in The Simpsons movie too.
Do they? I haven't seen The Simpsons movie.
They jump the bike.
I've only seen The Simpsons movie when I was like, I think when it came out.
Oh, really?
So I was... When did year did it come out?
07.
I was 5.
Okay.
Was I 5 when I saw that movie?
Wow.
Damn. Wow. Yeah.
You were given a lot of leniency.
It might...
I mean, I saw it when it came out too. So.
I told you my mom took us to see fucking oh goodness, what's that movie called? We're the Millers.
Ooh,
remember that?
Yeah.
There's just like a scene where that eyebrows guy, he gets his ball sack swells up from an allergic reaction. They just show it. I think it's like a prosthetic, but it's like my mom was like, I didn't read the synopsis. I didn't know she was a stripper.
Oh, well, since I've seen that movie, so I don't remember it all. Yeah.
It's actually not the raciest thing ever. It's just like I would say a mild adult comedy. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Are you done with Furious 6, or is there anything else you wanted to mention?
Basically everything I said was pretty much done. It's good. I think it's the best one of the franchise.
Okay. I disagree with you, but I can respect your reasoning. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about Furious 7?
What?
You want to talk about Furious 7?
I need a pee, actually.
Okay, go pee. I'll pause. Like you just did. Okay, we're back. Okay, so Furious 7 is interesting to me because one of the main things I knew about the Fast and Furious saga, because it is a saga, before I'd seen any of them, was that was the family meme.
Yeah.
And what was interesting to me was that there's like a light theme of like finding your family, family's important.
Found families.
Yeah. Throughout the first 6 movies, like you see it like, oh, all these kind of different sorts of people come together. Mm-hmm. They all work as one. It's like teamwork sort of thing. But it's not super strong. They don't say... They only say family a handful of times.
Maybe like at least once a movie.
Not symbolic, but like thematic way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll literally refer to a family, like you're a family member or whatever, but they're like, oh, the concept of family. They don't really make that many references to it. 7 is where like it starts to explode. Yes. And it's because Paul Walker died.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's really strange because Paul Walker's character is not dead in the story.
No. He's just moved on with his life.
Well, the word I used was sunsetted.
Or sunsetted, yes.
Where he has a wife and a kid. He has another kid on the way. Let's just let him live his life.
Which is really weird.
Which is weird because no one else gets that. Tyrese is like, what the fuck, dude? I guess Ludacris doesn't have like a business he has to attend to or something.
He's just there.
What the fuck happened to Suki?
Right?
What happened to Devon Aoki?
I don't know if it's just something like she just doesn't do acting anymore.
She just doesn't. Yeah.
But it's like
I liked her a lot. In the first
I
two
loved
movies.
her in.
Yeah.
She's only in the second one.
Is she?
No, yeah.
I thought she was in the second.
She's
first one.
No, she's not.
Oh, okay.
I loved her in the second one, and I'm just like,
no, she's fun.
I mean, it's not. You have 2 movies left to make that chance because
bring her back. She's like the only other person, except Ja Rule.
But who fucking cares about Ja Rule? He's doing like gyro commercials now. Have you seen that?
No.
I remember because 50 Cent was making fun of him
like a gyro of the food.
Yes.
That's called a euro.
Or, sorry, euro. Sorry. He was doing a euro commercial for like a local...
I'm the white one here. Come on. Come on.
Sorry. He was doing like a euro commercial. And 50 Cent called him out like, how broke do you have to be to do this kind of shit?
Maybe he just likes euros. Have you ever had a euro? They're delicious.
They're delicious. I would love to have one now.
We should get a euro. We should order out.
Maybe let's do it next week.
Let's do it next week. Right, what the fuck were we talking about? Right.
But I was talking about like how I love Suki. I'm like, why don't they bring? Because I think they established her as like Ludacris's love interest. I guess
she's his lady friend.
Yeah, and I'm like, this franchise clearly states that no matter if you're dead or not, you're free to come back.
You can come back if you want to.
If you're like a dying actor or like someone that's like in their like not in their prime as they used to be in the 2000s.
Yeah.
We're family. We'll bring you back.
Does she just run Benihana's now? She's just
apparently her and
she's just running Gibby Hana's.
Yeah, as I searched up, Devon Aoki and Steve Aoki are the heir and heiress to the founder of Benihana.
That's what she's doing now. She's trying to save Gibby Hana's.
Apparently, they have. I'm not gonna go into it, but they have like this whole like a lawsuit going on.
Oh.
About how they don't want their it's either mother or stepmother to get the inheritance. They want that money.
Damn, they want that Benihana.
And because I guess they just don't like her or something.
Okay.
So they have this lawsuit. I think they won. I don't know. Someone can correct me in the comments. Okay. But anyways, I haven't heard from Devon Aoki since like the 2000s. So I'm like, hey, if you're broke or something, or you're just not doing much,
or swing by here.
Swing by here, dude. I know Steve Aoki's still doing fine, but Devon Aoki, we haven't heard. Yeah,
we can hang out. Yeah.
Have you seen how much money we're making? Are these people are making?
Yeah, I rewatched a scene from Too Fast where it's the one where they meet Ludacris.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like at the pool and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's not where they meet him, but it's like when they go to his garage for the first time. And remember how Suki's drawn a little car?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, she had in her sketchbook, and there's this little shot where like she shows him it, but she like shows it like upside down, and she has to like flip it back around.
I'm like, that's cute.
That's so cute.
That's really cute.
It's like this little touch.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, it's a car that later shows up in Tokyo Drift.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know.
So it's like a weird reference. Or something like a foreshadowing.
Sure.
Something. Right. So, family.
Yes.
Furious 7. Furious 7 is like. What's so weird is that his character's not dead. He's just like sunsetted. Yeah, what I said. But
it's very much
they act like he's dead.
Yeah.
Which is weird, right?
Yeah. It's like. It reminds me of what they did with Wakanda Forever just recently.
Okay. I haven't seen it.
They do a similar thing, except that they acknowledge that he's dead.
He's actually dead.
He's actually dead in universe.
Do they explain how he dies?
So that movie.
Did he get the COVID?
Mini Black Panther discussion of Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
That movie opens with Shuri, the sister, the smart sister, trying to save T'Challa's life, but she can't.
Oh.
So the move after that scene, it's like a very tense scene too. Actually, it feels
does
like
he get injured or something, or what is it?
He's not shown like what happened. They don't explain what happened. It's just that he's dying.
Okay, something has happened,
he I guess something where I don't know. Yeah, maybe he got killed by something or someone, and it just the next scene is like
he got crushed by a tank. By Owen Shaw.
Owen Shaw killed him. Oh no.
He was just driving on the streets of Rio, and this bank vault.
That vibranium suit did not kill
into his car.
Oh my god! Yeah, the next scene of that of that after that, like I failed to save him, is a funeral
Oh,
It's like
okay.
it's like one of those happy funerals. It's like a celebration of life. People are dancing, but sure. And the logo, like like the show all the characters, it's like all T'Challa.
Oh, okay.
And that's how that movie opens, and it reminds me a lot of like that the ending of Furious 7.
Yeah, the montage.
That montage. That movie also ends.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, with a montage of like all the scenes. Only for some reason from the first Black Panther movie.
Oh.
No scenes from like Infinity War, Endgame, or Civil War. Just the first movie, which I thought was interesting.
Okay. Well.
And that movie too. Also has an emotional tribute song. Rihanna sings a song. It's a very beautiful song, actually.
Okay.
It's like about like
It's been a long
kind of like that, like your death lifts me up or something. I don't know.
That's fucked up.
or like
I'm doing so well now that you died.
I don't know.
You should have kicked it way faster.
I don't know how to describe this song, but it's like a
Sure.
like a melody.
It's like a little tribute song.
Tribute song, yeah.
So it's weird because the characters after Furious, starting with Furious 7 and afterwards, act like people who just had someone really important to them die.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get super close and they're like, we have to value every moment that we have with somebody and stuff like that. And it's like, it feels like he died. You're acting like he died. You named your son Brian.
Which he does in the next movie.
Like, I guess it wouldn't be that weird to name your kid after
a dead relative.
No,
a dead friend.
someone who's still alive that you know.
Hold on, in the universe.
Yeah, like I guess it wouldn't be that weird. There's lots of people who have had that happen, but the way it's presented is like this big emotional, and we named him Brian.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow, that would make a lot of sense if he was dead. Oh my god, the scene of Paul Walker going to the kindergarten. We were like, no,
oh no,
he's scoping out target. he's on the patrol.
They're too young for you,
Paul. No, your knows no bounds.
Jesus. Yeah.
Okay, Furious 7 has... That movie's so weird when I think about it in a lot of ways.
How so?
So there is... I was thinking, because I'm like, it has a thing that I don't like, but a thing that I do like. Which is that I don't like that they've raised the stakes even higher, where it's like... The God's Eye, it's called?
Yeah.
Which is this, like, horrifying surveillance system. It's like a program that can tap into every single electronic appliance, I guess, connected to the internet or any kind of network ever.
It's like people that spy on you. Spyware.
It's like super spyware. It's like the Patriot Act on steroids.
Yes.
And the movie is not about that.
It's not. But
if the movie was about that, if you gave it even a modicum of thought, the movie would be about how fucked up and weird and dystopian that is.
Yes.
But in the context of the movie,
they don't.
It's just, well, we need this so that I can, because I need to do this thing with the car. Yeah. And they like never bring it up how weird it is, and no one seems to have a problem with it.
Yeah, which is weird.
And everyone's like, it's like, I mean, you can tell that they got funding from the U.S. government. Because they were like, get it in my mouth.
You okay?
Something's in my mouth. You can tell that they got funding from the U.S. government. Where the fuck? It's like a little calcium thing in my mouth. You ever get those? Weird, like little skin calcium deposits?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, it's fine because the U.S. government, the good guys, are going to have this technology, and they'll only use it for good things, like stopping bad guys. Like Derek Shaw.
Derek?
Is it not Derek?
Deckard,
right. Deckard Shaw, who was what the movie is actually about.
Yeah, Jason Statham.
Actually about them trying to get revenge on Jason Statham for killing Han, which we forgot to mention that at the end of
that is the post credit scene.
Post credit scene or it's like a
mid credit scene. Mid post credit. You still got the calcium thing in your mouth?
I got the calciums, dude.
Oh,
I still got
drink water.
Drinking so much milk, dude. Oh, my bones so healthy, dude. I got so much bone. I got it coming out the throat. Fuck. Yeah, I guess mid-credits scene, a little tag, a little teaser at the end of the 6th movie is
that scene.
They replay the sequence where Han dies in Tokyo Drift, and you see that, I don't know if that was in the original, that he gets T-boned by a car?
No.
Was it in the original?
Yes, that was. The only thing it's added is
what happens afterwards at that location, which is in the original movie. It was just he got T-boned because they were driving really fast. But now it's like Jason Statham walks out, and then he goes like, "Hey, Dominic Toretto, you don't know me, but you're about to." And at this moment, Dominic Toretto has a bomb on his doorstep. Very convenient timing.
Yeah, right?
That was actually... I was bummed about Han's death, right? Like, seeing more of him, especially, right? But I think it was a good move. I think it was a good move to make it, like... I was a little like, what? And then I thought out, I'm like, I kind of really want to see them take down Jason Statham now. Yeah. Because I like this character.
He's a good threat.
And now it's like, oh, shit. He's serious. He killed a main character. And he's coming for everyone else. And he was the brother of the villain in
the last movie.
Well, this movie, technically. 6. Which is where that scene is.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know that at the time.
Yeah.
So there was actually a really decent like character drama set up in Furious 7.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I don't give a fuck about the God's Eye thing because the movie doesn't give a fuck about it.
Clearly,
it's just a plot device. It's literally a plot device. I want to see them interact with the guy who killed Han. My voice cracked there weirdly. So what did you think of 7? Overall,
I noticed you forgot to talk about this.
Yeah,
but the weird change of directors. So this is the past few have been Justin Lin, who I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah. I think we looked it up. He mainly he did like 2 movies before he did Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
No, he started with. Was it the writer? He started. I want to say he started with either Tokyo Drift or Fast and Furious.
I think he started with Tokyo Drift.
Okay.
Yeah, he started with Tokyo Drift.
Okay. So they all had like a similar... He basically did Fast and Furious movies for like most of his career, basically, for like several years. So like, literally like 6, 7, 8 years. So then they changed it to... Now you take over.
To James Wan, who, if you don't know, directed the Saw movies and the Aquaman movies. Might that make you laugh?
It's a fucking Aquaman movie.
All 2 of them. Oh, there's one coming out soon.
Aquaman. I've actually seen Aquaman.
Oh, the new one?
I saw it on the first one. I saw it on a bus with no sound.
No subtitles, even?
There might have been subtitles.
It's a terrible movie.
That was on the way to Disneyland. Remember? One of the worst experiences of my
your
entire life.
Wow.
When I went to Disneyland in 2018.
So not only did you have a terrible Disneyland experience, but you had a terrible movie to watch with no sound.
That was epic.
It's an awful movie.
There might have been subtitles, but
and apparently it's considered one of the better DC movies. And I'm like, that is a stretch. Apparently,
are we not counting like the Suicide Squad?
Apparently, like the stretch between Aquaman and like the Suicide Squad or Shazam, which I also think is good.
Okay,
is very far, and I don't care for any of the. I'm gonna get shit for this. I hate all the Snyder stuff.
You're not gonna get shit for that. Everyone fucking hates Zack Snyder.
Do you know the fucking Snyder like fan base on Twitter?
You think insane. Those people watch my channel? You think those are the members of the 25 to 50 people who regularly watch the Cellarcast?
Okay, true. But if any one of you were watching, suck it up. I am glad you're.
Yes, fuck you, dude.
fuck your Snyderverse. Apparently, it's coming back if you count the Flash, which is still in that Snyderverse.
Dude.
Okay, quick detour. That trailer is awful.
the fucking DC, whoever's in charge of like the DC movies at Warner Brothers,
It's actually James Gunn.
it's gotta be. It has to be literally the same setup as every Fast and Furious movie after 5, where it's like, we've only got one guy who can do it. We've only got one guy who can run that fast. It's Ezra Miller.
Hey,
this guy can run all over the world evading police. I need a guy to play a guy who runs really fast. It's the best team we got.
Anyways, yeah.
So Furious 7,
directed by
James Wan.
I like his Saw. I like the Saw movies. Don't fucking despise Aquaman, like I've said.
Sure.
But I think this is one of his better movies.
I can see that.
And in general, one of the better Fast and Furious movies. I think it's pretty good.
I would actually also say it's on the better end.
I'd say it's on the better end.
I immediately noticed with that and Fast 9, I immediately noticed the change in directors. Fast 9 also has a different director, but no, it's back to
it's Justin Lin. Yeah. 10 is where we switch directors again.
Oh, great! I can't wait. We will.
We'll talk about that.
So I immediately noticed it because the movie, the color grading is totally different.
It's much brighter.
Not brighter. It's colder.
It's
colder.
Yeah. It's much colder.
It's really tinted to blue in a lot of scenes, at least.
Mm-hmm.
The editing is really different. Lots of I'm trying to remember. It's like a lot more like quick cuts, like zooms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I'm recalling that, a lot of switching between like shaky cam or like hand cam style and fixed camera.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad, but just like noticeable.
It's noticeable.
It's weird because I think I mentioned this. It's especially near the climax, like in the third act, it's much more stylized in a lot of ways. Remember the scene where Paul Walker's fighting that dude in the dark room with the fan that's spinning?
Yes.
And it's like, all the lights only coming through from behind the fan.
The way that scene is lit is very much Saw-like.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. It's very much like very much something you'd see in Saw.
That felt really, that felt like a very, okay, this guy's, he likes doing this stuff with light and shadow in certain sequences.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could see that. I think Furious 7 is also the movie where we figured out that the most dangerous weapon in the Fast and Furious movies is Dominic Toretto in a car.
Yes.
The second one eventually becomes The Rock.
Uh-huh.
I'll say fourth first.
Okay.
Fourth is guns. Third is off-screen guns.
Yes.
Because
off-screen deaths in general.
Just people coming in from off-screen to save the day. It happens multiple times in every movie.
Yeah, you're right.
After
5. I'd say 5.
Yeah, 5. It's like, how are they going to get out of this? A gunshot comes from off-screen. Or someone drives from off-screen. Again, usually Dominic Toretto in a car.
Yeah.
Or sometimes Tyrese Gibbons.
Yeah, a lot of
of his car in Furious 7 after the parachute scene.
That's right, yeah.
Right, so the director changes. 7 feels... 7 feels like it was almost like it was... I don't know. There's something weird. It feels like the last... Did we mention this? I think we mentioned this. Every movie feels like the last movie.
Yes.
After 5.
It feels like they could conclude the franchise right then and there.
Honestly, I feel like every single movie in the whole series except for Fast and Furious could have been the last one.
Yes.
You could have ended... I was thinking about this. The Fast and the Furious, the original, has a really interesting ending. The fact that there's no falling action, it's just a super climax. And then you don't really get any resolutions to many storylines.
Not at all.
Brian just kind of lets Dominic walk. And there's just a shot of him just kind of walking, and you can hear the sirens in the background, and it's kind of interesting.
It's an open.
It's ambiguous.
Yes.
But not in a way that's like a sequel hook.
Yeah.
Necessarily. It could go to a sequel.
But it makes you think what could happen after
what did happen. You can be like, oh, Dominic got away. Brian probably got booted off the force or something like that.
Which does happen.
Yeah. Also the fact that part of what contributes to that is not just the endings of every movie, that it feels like it could be the last one. Also the fact that every fucking movie is one last job.
Yeah, one last ride.
We're gonna bring you back for one last. No more jobs after this one.
It's like they're psyching themselves out.
I know it's
like, is it gonna be the last one? Which one?
Like addicts.
Yeah.
Just after this one, I'll stop. After this one, I'll stop. I just need one more hit, dude. I just need one more job. I need to jump over one more canyon with a car. Jason Statham's a pretty compelling villain.
I'd say of all the villains we have, he's the best villain of the franchise.
Yeah.
The biggest threat, I feel.
I think what was cool was that every villain up to that point had either... Also, weird thing about one doesn't really have a villain. There's there's antagonistic characters, but it's more like the goal of we got to find out who's doing it.
Yeah.
It ends up being Dominic, but he's not really like a villain at that point.
Yeah.
He's like a kind of like an...
They frame him as like a twist villain almost, but not really.
Is anti-villain a term?
Yeah.
Because if it is...
Does that mean he's Sasuke? He's an anti-villain, technically.
He's like the bad guy, but he's like not.
Yeah.
But he's not heroic enough to be an anti-hero.
Sure.
I don't think so. Not in the first movie.
Not in the first movie.
So like every villain after that, let's say, was pretty simple. Like it's very like here's our crime guy for the week, crime boss, yakuza boss, cartel boss,
man in brown face doing a mafia.
What?
That's the second movie's villain.
He's not Mexican?
I had to search
wait,
it up.
Is he Spanish?
No.
Whoa, who the fuck plays?
So I had to, okay, you can search it up, but I'll just say when you find out, you're like,
okay, hold up. Too Fast, Too Furious, villain. So is the character meant to be Carter Verone? So Verone, that could be like, he looks like he could be Spanish.
But when you see the person who plays him,
okay,
you're like...
Hauser. What's the guy's name?
Cole Hauser.
Cole Hauser. Where the heck? Cole Hauser. Starring. There he is. Okay, Cole Hauser. Let me look up a different picture of him. He looks like with a tan, maybe.
Look at him in the show Yellowstone, which I love, by the way.
Ooh. Ooh, he's like really... he's on the line, dude.
Yes. See, look at him in Yellowstone.
Like, I feel... Yeah.
He's literally like the American white man.
Maybe with a tan is the thing.
I was like, how did they get away with that?
I think the tan and the collared shirt does a lot to sell him as a Spanish guy.
And the voice.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
So brown-faced man.
Uh-huh.
We'll say tan man. We'll say fake
the tan man.
Fake tan man. Yeah. All like pretty like not deep, not really interesting villains. They're just there to be the villain.
They're like it's like Scooby-Doo. It's like villain of the week.
They're very functional, which is funny because the movies start turning into like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, by the time we get to the night, it turns into like G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
like those action cartoons from the 80s.
Yeah, no, and it's like where they just cut. They're like, okay, cut the shit. What's the Fast and Furious team doing this episode?
Yeah. Tune in next week to see what they're doing.
Literally
yeah.
Owen is like kind of different, but he's like, okay, he's like evil guy. He's just like international crime evil guy.
Mm-hmm.
Deckard Shaw is like, oh, there's like a personal vendetta. You get a little more development with him where he's like, oh, his mom doesn't show up, does he? But you like find out about like his brother.
His mom doesn't show up to the next one.
He's at least compelling in the fact that like, okay, obviously there's the personal thing with Han. He has the personal vendetta against them. He's also like, he's working with big crime guys, but he himself is just kind of like an assassin dude. Yeah. And that I think is a lot more interesting. Mm-hmm. Also, I mentioned this to you, but I'll repeat it for the audience. I just like Jason Statham.
It's right. I'm like, he's like one of those actors for you. Like, he could be in the shittiest fucking thing, and he'd be the best part of that movie.
Honestly, yeah. And I don't know why, because I've only really seen Transporter. But there's something about Jason Statham.
You didn't see the Meg?
No. I didn't see the Peg.
The Peg.
I think it's just that, to me, Jason Statham, I look at him, and he looks like a guy who shouldn't be a movie star. He looks like a guy who should be like the thug on the side, but he is the movie star, and I think that's kind of charming. Like he feels everyman in like a really meta way to me.
Yeah.
And so like whenever I see him in a role, whenever I see him get a role, I'm like, oh cool, Jason Statham's getting work.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him personally. I just like him.
He's a good man.
And he's actually a good actor.
Yeah.
He's great. I feel like for specific roles.
But from what I've seen,
I can imagine
he's good.
him being really miscast and being bad, but generally when he sticks to playing, oh, look here, mate. Oh, I'm gonna smack you up sideways.
He's great, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy him. He sells the character really well. Yeah, and it's good. What's the climax to? Oh.
They blow up half of LA.
7 does have a fun climax.
It does, yeah.
It's where they blow up a bunch of LA. There's the drone shit that's dumb, but whatever.
This is when it starts to feel like a Marvel movie.
I mentioned this to you. This is like one of my pet peeves. We kind of mentioned, I think I asked you when we watched the first one, because the first one is so Y2K.
Very much.
The fashion, everything, the music, Ja Rule. And I was like, is every movie kind of going to be like of its time?
Yes, it feels like the more you go on, the sign of the times start to show for each movie. So with the first two, I'd say the first three actually, it feels like the Y2K. I'd say 4 to 6 is more like late 2000s, early 2010s.
Yeah,
and 7 is smack down in like mid 2010s.
It was 2013. That was when
Fury 7.
Fury 7 was like
2015.
Fury 7 was 2015.
Yes. You're thinking of 6. 6 is 2013.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, you can tell just how, not only how it's shot, not only how the action scenes are blocked, the music, Turn Down for What is one of the song choices in this movie.
It's fine, because I still like that song.
Really?
I like Turn Down for What.
I like it as a meme joke.
I think it's... Okay, let me pull my suspenders up. My fucking white guy suspend. I think it's a cool song. Yeah, the super 2010sing of the series is not my thing. I mentioned this to you.
Did you?
It starts a little bit. Like, there's a lot of very 2010s things that I don't like about movie trends. And maybe this is why people didn't like a lot of those movies, like the old movies at the time. But now I can watch this and be like, this fucking rules. Maybe in like 10 years, or like someone, or like someone who's my age in 10 years is gonna watch Furious 8 or something, or 7. Actually 7. Yeah, you're right. Not Furious 8. They're gonna watch 7, and they're gonna be like, this is so cool. This feels really. This feels retro. This is like a thing from the 2010s.
I mean, even back then, I'd argue it worked, because this is the first movie where they made $1 billion.
That's the thing, is it's so mainstream. It's so mainstream. And
I could argue that's either a plus or a minus.
Yeah. For me, there's elements of it that are a minus. I mentioned this to you, and thankfully they don't go too hard in this, but one of my least favorite 2010s like movie trends was... The villain's big plan is drones. They've got drones. Don't you guys remember drones? Isn't it so scary?
That was the same year that hoverboards were
and it's like, too. Yeah, dude, tell that to the fucking little Afghani children.
Why'd you say it like that?
Those are Afghani? Is that how you pronounce it?
Never mind.
What?
No. Keep going.
Why don't you tell that to them first, okay? They're like, fuck yeah. Thankfully, so they have a drone in this one. Thankfully, it's not too bad. Where it's like
it's not used. It's used sparingly.
That shit, I feel, it's where I wonder about, like, I see stuff from the 90s that's like extreme and stuff like that.
The skateboard,
like Poochie from The Simpsons.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Which I know Poochie, even though I've never seen The Simpsons.
And like Poochie or like gross out humor.
That was a fucking Ukrainian flag in the mirror.
Oh.
I was like, is your mom like Ukraine? I think I forgot
My mom's part Ukrainian.
We're filming this in Kat's mom's room because it's the least echoey part of the house. and in the mirror I could see there's like a yellow sweater and a blue sweater on top of each other, and I thought that it was a Ukrainian flag. I'm like, all right,
We're standing together.
Cool. We're standing together. I look at like Poochie stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, did people back in the 90s think that shit was really cringe and like it was just trying to appeal to them and market to them, and now we as like dumb Zoomers look at that and think it's unironically kind of fun?
Yeah.
Tell us. I know that my channel skews kind of older.
Think about it like how memes have come around. Like how how people think. No, I'd argue.
Well, how so? Expand.
I'd argue that like absurd memes like I for some reason like people are unironically thinking like the troll face or Doge is like funny again.
No, but that's like.
But we found that cringe.
That's
back
like
then.
No, Trollface was funny in 2012. In like 20, it was.
Maybe
there was a moment where Trollface was entertaining, and now it's entertaining because of the irony, the irony, because that's how people were using it, and then it weirdly warps around back to being kind of sincere again.
Yeah. So I guess in a way it kind of works.
In a way, yeah. I'd be really curious to hear if anyone who was growing up in the 90s found that like, oh, extreme, dude, it's Surf Ninjas, dude. It found that
Surf Ninjas. Yeah, that's
found that cringy and like, oh my god, this is a bunch of fucking guys in suits who think they know what the kids are about and what's hip and popular. That's how like the villain has drones is to me, because like I'm always just like, this feels like, oh, we're in the 21st century, technology. Oh, the threat of technology. It's like trying to be topical.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, it's not going to be drones. It's going to be like Metal Gear Solid 2. That's real shit. It's going to be the fuck that. It's going to be that. Yeah. That's the real scary stuff about technology. Not drones, Mr. Gorbachev. Mr. Gorbachev, drone down this wall. Yeah, it's also... Oh shit, I totally forgot. What do you think of Ramsey? Your face when I said that was so
I
funny.
talked about this during the movie when we watched.
Yeah.
But as a character,
yeah, I
think she's fun. She doesn't get much to do in this movie. Neither does she in the other movies, to be honest. But she's like she's a fun addition, I'd say, to the family. She I guess she's sort of like the straight man to Ludacris and Tyrese, or like I guess the straight woman.
As in, they have one scene every movie where they try to come on to her, and then she's like, yeah, and then she doesn't.
As I said, she's like a less developed Sypha. and I guess
Sypha or Soifa. Oh fuck! I don't want to talk about fucking Cypher. I don't want to talk about Cypher.
We'll get to that. But she's she's like a less developed Sypha, but she's still likable.
Like from Castlevania.
And I guess Trevor and
That's
Alucard could be like Tyrese and Ludacris.
No, they're goddamn. They're more like Vin Diesel and Hobbs.
Oh, true.
And The Rock.
True. Actually, yeah, I can see that.
They're more like that because they're just, oh, you fucking, oh, bah, I love you, dude. I want to give you a big kiss on your big bald head, dude. I love how the franchise. I joked about like how it starts to turn into Warhammer, where everything starts revolving around like bald men.
Yeah.
Until we get to Hobbs and Shaw, where there's like 3 bald men having a fight.
I can't wait to talk about Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh yeah. Okay. It'll give us some time before Fate of the Furious. No, actually, it's after, isn't it?
No, it's Furious 7, and then Fate, and then Hobbs and Shaw, and then 9.
Oh, okay, right.
So we'll get to it.
Never mind then. So, Ramsey feels like a character who was supposed to be part of the supporting cast for one movie, and then they just kept bringing her back.
So you don't really care for her?
It's a toss-up, because on one hand,
I think the weakest part of her is that they don't give her much to do.
The problem is she doesn't have a driver's license, which basically makes her useless in the Fast and Furious universe.
And they do bring it up in 9.
Okay, no, so the thing is, Ramsey unfortunately gets kind of sidelined into her whole character ends up, she doesn't have a lot of flavor. She ends up usually being like she dispenses techno jargon. Oh, well.
She's basically like female Ludacris. In a way.
Yeah, but like even more. Like that's her whole thing.
Yeah.
Ludacris at least is like has like a rapport with the other characters. Ramsey kind of does, but for the most part she just like types really good on a keyboard. And she does again like 2010s I guess this is not a 2010s thing, but just like she's really good with computers. How so? Look at her type really fast.
Yeah.
And she's going to say, "Oh, I hacked the DMX off the www dot," and whatever. That scene where she in the 8th movie where she and Cypher are having a hack off and you have no fucking idea what's happening, but except for them saying, "Damn, she's really good.
She's really good."
And then you see one of them like spin a little hologram and you're like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah.
So that's what I get frustrated with her character is that like, man, she really feels very uninteresting to me, but on the other hand, she's very attractive.
The scene where she walks out, and I don't mean to say this in like a very objective way.
Oh, do it.
But when she comes out and she reveals her tits and ass.
When she's in the swimsuit?
In the swimsuit.
When they're in Abu Dhabi?
In Abu Dhabi, yeah. And like Tyrese and Ludacris are like, they're like the wolf in that Tex Avery cartoon. They're like, oh my god. And I can't lie, I was like, yeah, I'm with you guys.
Dude, she's really fucking attractive.
She's really attractive. She's
hot.
very beautiful.
I think actually the best she looks is at the end of a Fate, where she's just in that like little outfit with like the open shoulders.
Oh, I don't remember.
And the jeans. I think she looks really good there. I was like, wow.
She's great.
She's really attractive.
I really hope that even though I really like her character, I hope she's just not the eye candy. Even though you could argue.
No, she's not the eye candy, babe. She's the fucking. She's the hacker who happens to also be. She's hot Ludacris.
Or I was gonna say Velma from Scooby Doo.
She's hot Ludacris. They had to exchange that for Ludacris's banter. She could only have 2 character traits. They were like, fuck.
I don't really have much else to say about
Furious 7.
No.
Yeah,
I just think it's good.
Send off is nice.
It's a nice send off.
Gets. The fight where. No, there is shit to say about Furious 7 because the third act is great.
Oh, I forgot to talk about
The Rock flexes his cast off. We talked about that.
They blow half of LA up.
They just blow a bunch of shit in LA up. Like, you're seeing stuff that's like, dude, they're gonna have like Memorial Days for this
tower.
Like a
tower falls.
And like it's a bunch of people.
The fight between Vin Diesel
and Jason Statham. Yeah.
That thing is insane.
On top of a parking garage, and then like they're like dual wielding.
Yes, they're dual wielding.
Like Halo 2.
It's like the end of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
And like Dominic has 2 wrenches, which is his trademark weapon.
Yeah, apparently, and a shotgun.
But he runs out of bullets or something. And then Jason Statham picks up 2 windshield wipers.
Is it windshield wipers?
It's windshield wipers.
Oh my god.
And they have a dual.
How strong are those windshield wipers?
They're really strong windshield wipers, dude.
Jesus.
They're from SafeLight, dude.
Sure.
Dude, I wish he'd fucking like stout and been like.
And the way that thing ends.
SafeLight guarantee. And then when the missile hits the parking garage,
the ground it's like Ice Age. He has that
awesome scene where he goes like, where Vin Diesel says, "But about Street Fighters, the street always wins."
Yeah, the street.
And then he earth bends and
he
stomps on the ground.
And Jason Statham falls. He's not dead, clearly, because he has a spin-off to do. But he falls.
Everything, like, you don't know how he got out, but whatever.
Yeah.
He's just British. It's British healthcare. It's because they have universal healthcare.
Yeah, or either that he's like Aardman Claymation, where he squishes. He squishes.
Spun a year with some.
Why do you think he's bald? He looks like Wallace.
Spun a year training with a mate called Wallace. Tell me some techniques. In the clinches. Yeah, that's a fun third act. How does that end? Oh yeah.
It's a send off.
Dominic's almost gonna die. He's almost gonna die. There's a cool scene where he's driving through the parking garage as it's collapsing.
Yeah.
And then Letty does the Pokemon 1 movie 1.
The
where
Pokemon, the first movie.
Her
literally.
tears bring him back to life. He would not let himself become the Rock.
We already have a Rock.
Hey, one Rock's too many in this series. Apparently they hated each other, right? They had like a ego clash or something.
So they had an ego clash, yeah, apparently.
I believe that.
I can totally believe that.
I can see the Rock going, I was seeing where I flex my cast off. I want to do...
They're comparing sizes.
It has to be in the contract that he has to drive the biggest truck in every scene.
Because he does.
In every single scene, when the Rock gets in a car, it's this gigantic super truck that can like blow through walls and stuff. Every single time, he has to be driving the biggest car. Yeah, and then Paul Walker gets a nice send-off. And then family.
The end.
Now we have to talk about Fate of the Furious, which fucking blows ass.
To put it short, I wasn't not okay. I liked how it didn't take itself seriously, but that's the extent of where my praises.
Why do you think it didn't take itself seriously?
I feel like it feels more soap opera 80s cartoon action-ish. Because the plot of this movie feels like an episode.
You're right.
Of like we're running out of ideas. What do we do? He's evil now.
No, that's what I said. That's why I wasn't feeling it, because I'm like,
you don't like that trope.
Well, specifically the way that trope is annoying to me. But also, it was the first movie that felt gimmicky.
Yes.
Where it's like every movie before that had basically just been, we're just upping the stakes, right? We're upping the stakes, but it's more dumb shit with cars.
Which, not to say that this one ups the ante, which it does.
It does that, but it feels like every other movie, the hook was like, we're fucking driving cars really fast, dude. Whoa. And in this one, it's like, we're out of idea. Dominic Toretto's evil now.
Like, what?
And I'm like,
this feels like something out of an anime. Like Naruto. I was thinking of Naruto the entire time.
Sasuke!
Yeah, like Sasuke.
Dominic!
That's why I'm saying, like, Dominic Toretto is Sasuke.
He's Sasuke. He's
and
the Sasuke of the series.
Yeah, he is.
Brian's the Naruto.
He's the Naruto.
Yeah, and then that's what I wasn't feeling, but specifically because you brought it up. So the premise of Fate of the Furious, Fate of the Furious, is that Dominic Toretto is being... He's shown something by the new villain Cypher.
Played by Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron.
Who's not a...
Charlize Theron Johnson.
Who's normally a really good actress.
Yeah,
but
according to you.
Boy,
yes.
Oh boy.
Okay, so we get to her character later. She shows him a thing. He's retired with Letty. They're in Madrid? Something? Cuba. They're in Cuba. And she shows him something that forces him to work for her. And you don't know what it is, and then he betrays them in the middle of their very special episode where it's not a very special episode. It's the Saturday morning cartoon episode where there's like, what's the heist for this week, fellas? Yeah. They're like the A-Team.
Yeah, funny that A-Team is playing.
Yeah, we were playing. Yeah, it was on TV. I have a real pet peeve for storylines where a character has betrayed everyone else, but they haven't really.
Yes.
And
it's a fake out.
And you don't find out what it is for like way too long into the movie, or like the other characters don't or something. I don't mind it if it's like fairly early on, the other characters find out what's actually going on. And then they say, okay, well, how do we fix the situation that's forcing you to supposedly betray us? That's like where I prefer it, where stories take it. This, it's just Dominic Toretto's evil. Now he shows up in a black skull mask with a shield and a giant buzzsaw.
Yeah.
To steal nuclear codes from the president of Russia or something.
Yeah. Or like the prime minister or something.
Whatever country.
And the scene where he like blows up the little like HQ that Mr. Nobody, who by the way we didn't talk about, played by
was he in 7?
Yeah,
Kurt Russell. Was in 7. Kurt Russell. Yeah.
They blow up his little like little mini lab.
Yeah. So
and then Letty says something. I'm like, oh, what is she gonna say? Don't turn your back on family. And Letty's like, immediately she's like, you're gonna turn your back on family? I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I couldn't believe.
Did I write this movie?
You manifested.
I manifested that.
So they introduced this character who's the Nick Fury of the Fast and Furious Avengers.
You could honestly, yeah.
He's Nick Furious. They're fast. He's furious.
Yeah, Mr. Nobody is basically like the funny.
That's him.
He's also in a Marvel movie.
Oh, who is he in Marvel?
He's Ego from Guardians 2.
Oh, I never saw. Oh yeah, he is. I never saw.
Yeah. I like his character actually. He's kind of
yeah. I think there's a lot of ways that character could have been done really lame, but I think he sells it.
Yeah, I think it's also his performance. I like Kurt Russell. He's fun.
Yeah, he's cool.
And I apparently only in this movie he's in this movie. I like his little cowboy like sidekick, like his little barnacle boy.
His little barnacle boy. His little like he's kind of like a twunk, you know.
Twunk.
He's kind of a
twunk. He's played by an actor named Scott Eastwood, who Tiger doesn't know anything about.
He wouldn't be related to Clint Eastwood, would he?
He is Clint Eastwood's son.
His son.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And I guess you can kind of see the resemblance. Oh, I think he played a.
Oh, I'm happy.
Because
I'm feeling glad. Sorry.
He played a cowboy in the. If anyone knows who Nicholas Sparks is, you play.
Was he in a Nicholas Sparks romance adaptation?
The one I was telling you about, where he's a bull rider, a cowboy.
Oh, I didn't realize that was Nicholas Sparks.
That was a Nicholas Sparks novel, The Longest Ride. Which, you know what?
Actually, The Longest Ride?
It's called The Longest Ride. It's actually not a bad movie. I actually kind of like it.
Is that like they just have sex for a really long time?
I wish. Honestly, that movie is kind of... As much as I say, like, it's not a bad movie, that movie... like second half is terrible.
The Longest Ride?
Because the first movie, the first half is about like this cowboy and this like college...
Second half's just them fucking.
No, the first half is like this like college girl who's like very shy and timid. She's like a bookworm, but then when her friends take her to a rodeo,
this is because you relate to this character.
I can
this
honestly.
Is your fantasy.
This is my fantasy.
I'm the shy little girl in college,
and then there's this
cowboy sweeps me off my feet.
Yeah, literally. And the second half of this movie is just like, oh, we have to rescue this old man, who gets in a car accident, and we get to it turns into that old man's movie.
That's weird.
It's like
and then she ends up with the old man.
No, we just basically come back to like this like the shy lady learning about this old man's story. It basically turns to like, remember like a Walk to Remember?
No.
Or like the Notebook.
I've Walked to Forget, more like.
Or like the Notebook, like
Never
the
seen
flash.
It.
It's like.
I'm not a fucking gay ass nerd.
Sorry,
like you.
Thanks.
It's in the Notebook.
Thanks. It becomes like a rehash of the Notebook, and I'm like,
okay.
We completely forget about the cowboy. Like, what happened to that?
They just drop the cowboy.
They drop all the cowboy stuff for
so
this boring
funny.
ass like old man's backstory who we don't even get to know.
So funny.
Oh my. Okay. Anyway, Scott Eastwood. I like his character in this movie.
All right. Cool.
I wish that they used him more.
Yeah. No, I thought he was I like that he's just kind of a dumbass.
He
takes himself too seriously.
I like that he's like a stick in the mud.
He's trying to be like, I'm in charge, and then
Tyrese
he's just always wrong.
His rivalry.
He gets turned sideways by Dwayne Johnson. If you haven't seen this movie, you have to understand. There's a scene where our little twunk is talking to Dwayne Johnson's character, and he's calling him like he's saying some shit about like, he says something that upsets him because he's trying to get a rise out of him for like a reverse psychology reason, and Dwayne Johnson grabs him, turns him 90 degrees so he's sideways, and pushes him against a wall like he's a toy. He's a little boy toy.
He's Woody.
He's this little boy toy.
He's Woody.
Where the fuck were we in Fade?
His little like rivalry with Tyrese is kind of funny.
Oh yeah, it's funny. Like Tyrese actually gets someone to like insult. Tyrese gets to not be the butt of the joke for once.
Yeah.
That's fine.
The action. Oh, The first, I'd say, like the big. There's only like 2 big action set pieces, which I thought was weird. It's it's a very short movie.
In Fate?
Fate, yeah. We get like that
Is it?
that first like big climax with like the self-driving cars, which by the way, you can't. Those cars don't even have
Do you want to
self-driving.
explain that scene?
Okay, so
They need to get the nuclear codes.
they need to get nuclear codes, so they're like driving to New York.
Specifically,
New York.
it's in New York.
New
Specifically, Vin Diesel, who's working for this cipher for Charlize Theron Johnson.
Yeah.
Um,
He's also there trying to find it.
yeah.
And the family is trying to like be there.
The family.
I'm gonna call them the family.
It's like a mafia movie. The family.
The Addams family.
They are. Vin Diesel was a very Italian.
The Barrio family.
The Barrio family.
And all of a sudden, Cypher, excuse me, she's like, "Oh, let me distract everyone for a minute." And all of a sudden, all these cars just start.
She hits like a switch or a button. Or
like
something,
a button,
and
she just turns on all these cars that are self-driving, and it's not like Teslas or something.
And it like zooms in. It's like someone was like, let's have a scene where a bunch of cars are swarming the streets.
Yeah.
Remember Too Fast? How fun that was? Let's have it, but they're like remote controlled self-driving. You heard about this newfangled technology? I think this Elon Musk guy is pretty cool. So she hits the button. I realized I told you to explain it, but now I'm explaining it. There's a bunch of cars. She says, she calls them zombies, I think.
She says it's zombie time.
It's zombie time.
What is this, Morbin time?
It's more. It's Charlize time.
Charlize time.
And then they all start. She basically takes remote control of these cars, and like they don't have any drivers, and it's like a self-driving car.
Some of them did. Some of them did.
Okay. But like, a car can't just, even with a computer system in it, as many cars do have today, a car can't just like drive. It doesn't just have a self-driving mode. There's like, it mechanically, I don't think can do that. Like, I don't, like, the mechanism to even like pump the brakes is like a physical thing. Like,
yeah.
What? But it just zooms into like the dashboards on these cars and it just says self-driving enabled. Like, what? Okay, like the visuals are neat, like when there's a bunch of cars raining out of the buildings.
Cool.
That was kind of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. But
I think it's just the execution.
What?
Like, yeah.
It's like everything explaining it was what?
And then after that we get
What's the second climax?
The submarines.
Oh.
That shit is kind of insane.
It's so long. The whole like third act submarine thing.
It's very long, yeah.
Is so long. It could almost be split up into 2 parts. The first part of which I don't really care for. The second part of which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like your favorite moment.
I'll talk about that, but another moment that before I talk about that, first time we get to see someone die and we see blood.
Yeah.
Letty pushes someone on like, what is it? What do we call those? Like those boat fan thingies? Propellers? I don't know. Sorry.
Propellers?
Propellers. And you don't see the guy like die, but you see blood. Like it's like
right.
Saw.
It's the submarine. It's the submarine that's like above water.
Yeah.
Or it's like in the dock or whatever. And it's the propellers at the back of it. She pushes the guy off. I think while it's spinning.
You don't see the guy, but you see the blood.
You see blood splat up.
I was
on
like,
the
oh
wall.
shit.
Like,
and not to my knowledge, I don't think I've ever seen blood, at least graphically.
There's like a few scenes where someone's wounded and they have a little blood on their face.
But like outside of that,
that's like, oh, that person died and it's got their blood splattered everywhere. It's like the first time you ever see
Letty
it. Like
murdered
gore.
someone in cold blood.
Well,
Get it because they're in ice.
Yeah. I was trying to be like, well, they were trying to kill them.
Yeah, true. But also, when they get in their cars and they're like attacking all like the Cypher's minions in the cars.
Yeah.
When the submarine pops up, I didn't think it was very much funny, but I thought it was the funniest shit ever. There's a scene. Oh, okay. Also in that scene, Tyrese is like submerged underwater in the car because
Oh yeah.
he gets his karma for choosing a fucking orange Lamborghini to drive in the snow while everyone drives like.
So the ice starts cracking underneath him.
It's like Ice Age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's legitimately kind of a scary. Like
That's scary.
drowning in a car is really fucking scary
That's
as a
terrifying,
thought,
yeah.
right?
And this is like one of the few times where I'm like, you know what? Tyrese is screaming is very justified. It's like almost like he was in that situation.
It's like it was real. It was like he was in that hotel room.
Yeah.
With his sweatshirt. It says Stay
Steal
on
the
the
rocks. And that car fucking explodes and the rock picks him up and he drives. So when the submarine comes out and shoots these torpedoes,
They're like above the ice. It shoots it above the ice. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like sliding on the ice.
Yeah, it's like it comes out from the ground.
Yeah.
And the rock is like, hold on,
Hold the wheel.
hold the wheel. And Tyrese's reaction is the best. He's like, what? This is crazy.
What the hell?
And The Rock gets out of the car and he grabs the torpedo and he's screaming. He looks like, he's like, "Rrrr." He's like a Dragon Ball character. He's like pushing the torpedo. I'm like, humans can't push torpedoes.
He's spinning it. Oh my god.
I know it's on ice, so it's a little bit of the doubt, but like,
This is the same movie, may I remind you, where he's in the prison cell.
Oh, I forgot to talk about the prison scene.
And he rips a concrete bench off of a concrete wall and starts doing deadlifts with it. With like one hand.
Deadlifts with no demonias.
In order to impress Jason Statham. That's the shit I like. That's Paul Walker driving backwards on the highway. That's what we were missing from the series. And for some reason it's in this dog shit movie.
You know what? Since you bring up that jail scene, which I forgot.
Yeah.
I like that scene.
That's a fun scene. And I have
it's
to say,
also fucking insane.
Yeah.
Because, okay, the other part where I got a big laugh, again, from The Rock.
Yeah.
Rubber bullets should wound and hurt someone.
He shoots it with a rubber bullet and he just like, it's like popcorn.
He swats it off like mosquitoes.
It's like a Nerf dart.
Yeah, it's like Nerf. And what he says was apparently, like, the way he just delivered, he's like, rubber bullets, big mistake. And I was just like, that is like the most like action movie thing you could say.
I was making jokes that Vin Diesel is slowly turning into Heihachi.
Yeah.
The Rock should have like bit the bullet out of the air with his teeth.
Yeah, he should
have
have
like
caught it with his
spit
teeth.
it back like Heihachi in Tekken 5. That's fun, and it sets up. So this is like another like I'm mixed on it. Hobbs and Shaw get set up in this movie.
Yeah, they're dynamic.
They're dynamic, that they hate each other. What's weird is that they start to like get along by the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which like doesn't like why?
Yeah, that is a little weird.
Other people are like kind of going along with it, and it's like, you guys remember how like he killed Han and blew up Dominic and like the whole like Toretto household that Brian was also living in, and their son.
Exactly.
Remember how he like blew up your house? And everyone's just kind of cool with it now? And it's weird because I feel like it's almost like a testing ground for the Hobbs and Shaw movie, which is weirdly a much better execution of their relationship, because it's like they go backwards to how it should have been in Fate.
Yeah, honestly, Hobbs and Shaw should have came out first.
It should have come out first.
And then have this one come out second.
Yeah, because they're like... Hobbs and Shaw, like by the end of it, you could see them maybe working together but not really liking each other.
Yeah.
They're like Alucard and Trevor.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
They have that relationship. Where it would actually start to make sense when they kind of start joking in Fate. But here it's like weird.
Yeah.
Anyways. Do you want to talk about Cypher? I'll rant about Cypher.
All I have to say about her is that Charlize Theron, I can't believe that this came out the same year as like one of my favorite movies, Atomic Blonde. Which,
you know what we forgot?
What?
About Furious 7?
What?
We forgot about Ronda Rousey.
You can talk about that.
So there's a scene when they're in Abu Dhabi and only women can fight women in Hollywood movies. That's how it goes.
Yes.
So, Letty, Michelle Rodriguez, has to fight someone, and the person they get to fight her is former MMA fighter, current WWE person, Ronda Rousey. And I didn't...
ass shitter as well. Remember that?
Oh, yeah!
When she shit her pants?
That's awesome. So Ronda Rousey... I didn't realize it was her, because I'm not familiar enough with her to, like, recognize her instantly. But I noticed, I'm like, okay, so they're putting, like, a little focus on her. I'm like, okay. And then when she showed up, I was like, oh, okay, this is, like, whatever. They were just, like, a mild setup for this character. Like, hey, remember this character from 3 shots ago? Or from, like, 5 minutes ago, more like, in the party earlier. So Ronda Rousey says 2 lines, and I realized it was her because I was like, wow, she's a terrible actress. Oh, it's Ronda Rousey! Because I'm like, it reminds me exactly how Ronda Rousey performed Sonya Cage in Mortal Kombat 11, where she's god-awful. Oh, it's the same person! Like, what's a Ronda Rousey, like... What she says everything like... It's like she doesn't know how to be a human?
Or she's like an NPC.
How do you think she orders at a restaurant? I'd like... the lobster bisque. Thank you. I'll take a soup. On top of that. So weird.
It is kind of weird, yeah.
Anyway, Cypher. So Cypher is the new villain.
Yeah.
Who's apparently the villain for the new trilogy. And so her deal, I really dislike this character. Cypher is like the writers tried to write a cool collected villain.
Mm-hmm.
And wrote it. She feels like someone's idea of a cool collected villain.
She reminds me of Eris from that DreamWorks Sinbad movie. But worse. But worse.
Yeah.
Worse.
She's like a manipulator.
Yeah.
She's like a manipulator. She's like Carmilla.
Sure, yeah. Honestly.
She's kind of like that.
And I just hate both of them as much.
Okay. I didn't dislike Carmilla that as much as you
know what?
did.
I'll say Carmilla's a little better.
Yeah. The problem with Cypher is that, okay, Carmilla eventually becomes like, okay, she has like an interesting character, even if you don't like her. Yeah. I think she's got like stuff going on.
She feels like a less developed Azula in that movie.
We're making too many cross comparisons.
Yeah, we are
getting mixed up.
It's like
a web.
Yeah, like a web.
Cypher is like, it feels like the writers are constantly trying to justify, to like tell you how cool she is.
When in reality,
she's Wednesday Addams.
Hey.
Cypher is basically, there's so many scenes of her where she's just talking and she's like, she has this fucking dialogue where she's like, control is... She talks like a JoJo character, but not fun. That's what it is. Sure. Control. What it means to control. What is power? Power is... She's doing slam poetry. Power is control over people. And it's like, nothing she's saying is interesting or actually deep. And which I want accountability. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to tell you, look at how cool she is. Look at how cool she is. Stop looking at the runtime of this podcast. You've been looking at it the whole time. We're not done. It's over, but we're going to go as long as a Fast and Furious movie. Or more. And yeah, she's boring and I don't like her and I wish she got shot in the head. Oh, speaking of getting shot in the head, Vin Diesel's Brazilian babe.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to talk about it much.
That's the reason that he's going
after
that he has to betray them is because she's holding him
and his son.
Well, Cypher is holding, I forget, Brazilian lady hostage as well as their son, which Vin Diesel never knew about. And I mentioned to you how funny it is that he and Letty were together for like
way longer,
over a decade at least, and married. And at no point did they ever have kids. He's with this Brazilian lady for 1 year and he's already knocked her up. If I was Letty, I'd be a little fucking pissed. I'd be a little like...
I'd be upset, actually.
I'd be a little... What the fuck? I guess once he thought he lost Letty...
He moved on.
He was like... Damn, I better fucking... I gotta go in. No more pulling out.
No more.
It's like... Taught him the value... of a fertile woman. Sounded really weird.
That did.
Why did I say it like that? And his son, and then they shoot the mom in the head. And Vin Deisel does his first instance of macro acting. When he goes, bah, 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 like a big gorilla.
I was watching that, I was like, why is he, like, so, like, he's putting up all of this, like, scene for, like shock acting for his son and his Brazilian wife, but not when Letty is revealed to be alive.
Yeah, it's so funny to compare those two scenes instead of like, what the fuck? Like, no matter how tough or cool you are, if you saw your wife that you thought was dead after like 3 years, you'd be like, what the holy shit! You'd have some kind of a reaction.
Yeah, and he just stares at it like, what?
Fucking, no one can see what Kat just, you're just, what?
Yeah, like,
oh, eyebrow, like, what?
I did the rock right there.
It was almost less than that. It was like...
Oh, yeah, just a blank slate.
That's fucking crazy, dude. Yeah, so his macro acting. What else happens in Fate? What's the climax?
The submarine.
The submarine thing. And then he comes back and they're like, yeah, you were... Whatever, dude. We're cool.
Yeah. Not much to say about else. At least I have to say.
They named the kid Brian.
Which I kind of predicted.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're going to name him Brian.
I was like, oh,
they should. Also, like, wait, the mom didn't name the kid?
What, did he wait for Dawn?
I was like, wait a second. I literally just thought about this.
Yeah.
It was like maybe 1 year old. Maybe less.
Sure.
But like...
Maybe like a couple months old.
You didn't even have one in mind or say... Like, she never said, his name is...
So-and-so.
Josephilopoulos. Or something like that. His name is GT7. Your favorite car, Dom. His name is Dodge Charger. Toretto. Yeah, that's weird. I just thought about that. They don't name the kid until like a year later. After he's been through like a shootout on the plane. You know what? The scene where Jason Statham comes back, I liked.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's him and his brother. And the
mom,
when
they have to get the baby.
Yeah, and they have to go. The mom convinces them. I thought it was weird. Like, how did Dominic even know their mom?
Yeah. What
the fuck? Okay, but once they show up on the plane, I was like, oh, cool. They're back. Oh, Jason Statham's getting work again.
Yeah.
And then he has this fun... I'm like, wow, this is fun. There's little hints of things that I enjoy in Fate.
Mm-hmm. There's good concepts.
Bad but it's wrapped in a very obnoxious movie.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say if this is the worst movie. We'll save that for the tier list.
We're going to do a tier list.
We'll do a tier list.
Hobbs and Shaw.
You know what? After thinking about it,
yeah,
this is almost tied for 6 as my favorite movie. The first time I saw this, I did not like it.
Really?
I don't know why. I think I was just very cynical at the time when this came out.
When did it come out?
2019. And I was just just not in the mood for like big blockbuster stuff. I was more into, well, I still am, those like A24 type movies. But after watching all these movies and comparing it,
yeah,
this is one of the better, maybe I'll think about it when we get to the tier list.
Yeah.
Maybe one of my favorites of the marathon.
I really appreciate Hobbs and Shaw.
Uh-huh.
And for a lot of reasons. Primarily among those is that it's a really nice change of pace.
Again, we have a change of director.
Also, yeah, different director. It's the guy who did Bullet Train.
Mentioned. Deadpool 2.
And Deadpool, yeah.
And Atomic Blonde, which also stars Charlize Theron.
And you like that movie.
I really like that movie. It's one of the best movies that came out that year.
Do you like it because it has a blonde lady in it? or because
Yes.
for other reasons?
I like how that movie's lit.
It's lit.
It's lit.
I like how it's lit.
I
as
like
fuck,
I
dude.
like the many thoughts on Atomic Blonde. I like the character. I like Charlize Theron's character.
Okay.
I like how it's shot, how it's framed, how it's blocked. And
Is-
lesbian romance scene.
Ooh.
A very explicit one for PG-13 as well.
Do they go through some trials and tribulations? You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Do they-
Yeah. But yeah, it's,
were most of those things, besides the lesbian part, consistent to Hobbs and Shaw?
I think this is more akin to Deadpool.
Okay.
Down to the point of having Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah, well he puts him in everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think what helps this movie,
Yeah.
especially after watching all those other Fast and Furious movies,
Yeah.
it's just how I need lights.
You need lights.
It got darker.
It got dark. Yeah.
I think The Rock is in here. Or Tyrese. What I was gonna say was
Well, what do you mean by that?
nothing.
What do you mean by that? Because he's a dark man? Because he's so dark, he actually absorbs light from around him?
Well-
he's like Vanta Black.
If you put him in a dark,
He's like a black
dark
hole,
room,
dude.
all you can see is teeth. He's like the like meme.
It's okay, she's a minority.
Yeah.
She can say it. Sorry, you were saying?
I think that the change of pace from not only director,
Right.
but just style. This
Yeah,
movie has
everything.
style.
Everything is different.
I really like that, and I really just like how different this movie feels, and it's how much it separates itself. I mean, it's enough to where I can believe that this is in universe, but enough to where it can stand out on its own
Yeah.
as a spin-off,
absolutely,
which I
yeah.
like about spin-offs.
It's
It's not trying to do something that it's like brother franchise is trying to be.
brother franchise.
I don't know how to call it.
Not sister franchise.
Or sister franchise. Sure.
Not sister is a bro
This
franchise.
is a bro franchise. Come on, let's be honest. But like, just the way this movie is edited, the way it's shot,
yeah.
the way this is shot.
Literally everything about this movie is different except for the actors.
Except for it's I'd say outside of 9, this one ups the ante a lot. Down to having a super villain.
He's a literal supervillain.
He's a literal super villain played by Knuckles the Echidna.
Yeah.
He's a super villain. He even straight up says like, "I'm Black Superman." I'm like, oh my god.
That line would never be in a mainline Fast and Furious movie.
No, it wouldn't. And I think it's all due to the direction of this movie.
Oh yeah, it's super. Visionary sounds pretentious, but he has a very
distinct style, and I like that. And I like that this movie doesn't. Something I like about this as a spin-off too, it doesn't depend on like cameos as well. On other characters in the franchise, there are cameos.
There's a couple.
I mentioned Ryan Reynolds at the beginning, a middle, and an end.
There's a really weird cameo with Kevin Hart that feels really long. It goes on for really long, and it's like quiet too. It's like a quiet scene.
It's a very quiet scene.
It's just Kevin Hart playing like a bit character.
He's just playing Kevin Hart.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It's really odd.
He's playing a quiet Kevin Hart. Because he's in a plane. He's like...
He's like kind of like Chihuahua.
Yeah, he is. He's just like, yeah. But something I like is that even though he only has like 2 scenes, he does benefit from the plot.
He's there for a reason.
Yeah, and all the other cameos are the same way. Ryan Reynolds is there to...
it's not just like, hey, it's that guy.
It's Ryan Reynolds. He's there.
He actually plays a character.
He plays a character.
You could have feasibly gotten some other random person to play that role, but it just so happens to be, hey, he's a person you know.
Yeah, and he's... Well, I'm not the biggest fan of Ryan Reynolds. He is kind of just playing himself, just like hey, I'm doing this and that. I'm very self-aware.
I thought it was funny.
His bits were funny.
I appreciated the reintroduction of homoeroticism into the film with Ryan Reynolds' huge erection for Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, we
go way back. We used to wake up wrestle for the Frosted Flakes.
No, always gonna get
That's
that
not a
joke.
line
That's
in
That's
movies.
not a line in the movie, but it might as well be. There's a few other cameos. That woman with like her whole like girl boss group. I recognize who that was after the movie.
Oh.
She's an actress named Isa Gonzalez.
I just remembered, not this movie. When Cardi B shows up in Fast 9.
Save that for Fast 9.
I
Please
totally, sorry, I just
save
wanted to,
it.
because I might literally forget it.
I'll bring it up again.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a bunch of cameos throughout this entire movie. I really just like how the Fast and Furious movies have always been crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about that. But this is the first one, and honestly only one, maybe besides a little bit of F9, where they acknowledge the wackiness
I wanted
of
to
it
point
all.
that out. What I really liked and what I found really refreshing after watching 12 fucking hours of Fast and Furious movies is that the other movies, part of what's fun about them is that they're crazy, but they take themselves very seriously. It's very self-serious. Hobbs and Shaw is a pretty similar level of like crazy, but the characters take it seriously.
Yes.
So that's important. But the film is fun might be a simplistic word, but the film is having fun with itself.
It's very
in a lot of ways. Like, there's a ton of color. I immediately, like, you can tell it instantly in like the first, maybe not the very first scene, but like as soon as you get the Film School 101 introduction, where you have
characters,
Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham parallel waking up next to each other, and the colors, like, it's a very cliche way to open your movie or introduce your characters, but the colors completely different between both of them, and you can actually, it's at least communicating something in a way that's not just he's really messy, he's really neat, he did it, like, okay, it's something. Lots of just, even in scenes that aren't particularly stylish, like, you know that scene where The Rock is apprehending the sister character who has the virus?
Very pretty lady, by the way.
Yes.
Holy shit.
She's very
pretty. Vanessa Kirby is the actress's name.
Vanessa what?
Vanessa Kirby.
I think they said curvy. I was like, Jesus.
She was born with it. that scene that's like
now she's just a big old pink ball.
Pink ball. She'll be sucking it up.
Oh,
Because Kirby.
I know, but like I made it sexual. I didn't realize. I think you made it sexual, and then I didn't realize I was actually making a Kirby reference when I went, and then I didn't. Anyway, that whole scene it's shot like Sprite. It's got the lemon and lime.
Yeah.
Like green and yellow.
Yeah.
Just from like the lights, like that are kind of off screen, and it's like an alleyway or something like that.
And the same scene, Jason Statham is fighting
in like her apartment,
like
and
it's purple,
and it's all dark, and it's all just purple lights, like she's like a Twitch streamer or something.
Yeah.
And
and that's a style of the director.
The editing is really snappy.
Very much so.
Dialogue it's definitely more humorous, and it's a little more like quirky and witty and quippy, but it's not like so much where it's like I found it annoying.
I think it's the right balance.
It hits a pretty good balance, and I think it's also like it's cut very sharply. Like,
it's almost very Edgar Wright-ish. Or
that's probably the best comparison I could make.
Yeah, it's very much Scott Pilgrim-y.
That was totally in the back of my mind.
Yeah,
where I was imagining like scenes from like Hot Fuzz or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when characters are talking like back and forth. Yeah. That scene where Hobbs and Shaw are like we don't want to work with each other, and they're insulting each other.
Oh, that's great. That's really fun.
That's a really like Edgar Wright-ish scene.
And the whole it's like blank room. There's mirrors, and you're just seeing all the reflections against each other.
Yeah.
And it's literally, the scene could not be the two of them any more than it is. The whole screen is just them and their reflections.
Yes.
Where they talk shit to each other. I think Dwayne Johnson calls him like a little crumpet man or something like that.
Yeah, like crumpet baby or something. I don't know.
And Jason Statham is not a race who can make a disparaging comment about Dwayne Johnson, so he just kind of has to settle for calling him big and dumb looking.
Yes.
He can't go really hard.
He can't go hard.
Like the British would love to do.
Yeah.
You see what they do with their football games or their football games? Football games. Yeah, it's really fun. You fell asleep partway through because it was like midnight.
We were watching this at like 11 p.m. and by the time it was like 12 hours into the marathon.
You missed like 5 minutes.
I didn't miss too much, and the part that I do remember that part. It's like when they're fighting on the truck.
Yes,
I do remember that part.
Yeah.
So I didn't miss too much.
One thing I thought was fun, and this is also 100%. This movie was produced by Statham and Dwayne Johnson together.
So they pretty much really just wanted to make this.
They probably liked working with each other.
It was a passion project.
Yeah, they probably liked working with each other from 7 and 8. And they were like, let's do a movie that's just us two.
Yeah.
Because also, I'm Dwayne Johnson. I fucking hate Vin Diesel. So I just want to work with Jason Statham. And I feel like because they're producers, you can kind of feel Jason Statham maybe didn't have too much... I don't know how much input Jason Statham had, but you can feel The Rock's input on the script.
Oh,
We're gonna go to Samoa.
Yeah,
Samoa. That's the pronunciation. I think is the right one. Samoa, and we're gonna have the family. We're gonna use all the in like oh god, is it what's the Samoan language called? It's not. Is it Tagalog?
Tagalog is Filipino, bro.
Fuck. Oh god, I'm racist now. Sorry. There's Samoan. I think it's just called Samoan.
Just called Samoan.
Samoan.
Maybe.
They're speaking like we're gonna use all the Samoan terms.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna do a little Samoan war dance. The whole family's gonna be together. They use fucking Samoan like classical Samoan weapons.
At this point, I was like, yeah, he's just so attached to Moana that he becomes Maui again.
He just wants to be. He's just like, I just want to, and I'm fine with it. I went to high school with a bunch of Samoan dudes. They're cool. Don't fuck with Samoan guys.
Yeah, this movie's lesson is don't fuck with Samoa.
Don't fuck with the Samoans, dude. Don't fuck with the Samoans and the British. When they team up, it's unstoppable. And that stuff's fun. Yeah. I thought it was neat. It's like, you don't get to see a lot of stuff in that part of the world or with that culture. Mm-hmm. And I think it was neat. It was obviously, I have faith that it was generally pretty authentic to the culture, probably because of The Rock. You can tell he really cares about his Samoan heritage. Mm-hmm. I think that's cool. I like seeing different cultures kind of
represented.
Do cool stuff in media. That whole scene is fun. I think, honestly...
That whole climax is fun.
Honestly, the whole part where they go back to Samoa is...
It's great.
It's like a better family film as like a theme than some of... a lot of the actual Fast and Furious movies where it's supposedly about family. It's
and it's funny that
the mainline movies, they just do some shit with the car and they go, family. That's what family's about. We stick together. I drive a car and do another car for you.
And the more I think about it, they're very subtle about the message of family in this one.
Yeah, it's not like
it's
in
not
your
hammer.
face.
It's not Vin Diesel hammers it on your head.
It makes a lot of like you have the setup at the start. The whole movie is about. It's like all around these family dynamics. You have the setup at the start. Vin Diesel I guess he's a single dad.
You mean The Rock? You said Vin Diesel.
God damn it! Sorry, I look two bald guys. It's like Warhammer. You get these fucking guys confused sometimes. They set him up. Oh, he's like a single dad. He's raising his daughter, and she asks like, "Do you have a brother?" He's like, "Yeah." And he's never really okay. So he's got this thing. He doesn't really talk about his brother. I'm like, okay, that's gonna come up at some point. Obviously, Jason Statham and his sister are the most important. You already know Jason Statham has like a family thing going on because like his mom's a criminal,
his brother's a criminal.
She's delightful. I love.
Oh
I actually
Helen
love
Mirren's performance is great.
Yeah, she's great.
She's fun.
His brother obviously. So like, okay, there's like a family kind of business going on there.
And I like that they establish that even as kids.
They were still
jackasses.
Like Ed and Eddie.
Yeah.
But devious.
They're very devious.
When she fucking like whacked that kid in the head with a paddle.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
to steal his money.
That's the most British thing too, having a paddle.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, chip cheerio, mate. I'll be taking that. With my snooker stick. Snooker. The whole thing revolves around these family dynamics, like Jason Statham and his sister constantly interacting, kind of going back and forth. They play that dynamic really well, the two actors. And then eventually, we find out, Hobbs has a strained relationship with his family. You don't really know why. You eventually learn why. He goes back, and honestly, the stuff with him and his brother, I thought was actually pretty compelling.
It's not too developed, but it's enough to where I'm like, I can understand it. Yeah.
I can see maybe it's because I have a brother.
True.
We're not estranged, but I have a brother too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I could see like a thing. I can at least like, I
can believe that.
I liked the scene before they head into battle.
Yeah.
To defend the premises, where he says like, I'm really sorry. He just apologizes to him, but he doesn't try to justify like walking out on their family at all. He just says like, hey,
yeah, I fucked up.
He kind of, not even I fucked up. He says like, I had my reasons, but like, ultimately it wasn't cool that I turned my back on you guys for forever. Like for
you turned your back on family?
Yeah. You gotta turn your back on family, Toretto. I opened this pizzeria in 1912. I thought that stuff was pretty I was like, okay, it's a little arc for the character.
And honestly, you don't get a lot of that in these movies.
You don't get a lot of character arc stuff in the Fast and the Furious franchise. It's characters just kind of like get more shit added onto them.
Yeah.
They get like expansion packs.
DLC.
They get DLC. That whole finale where they're defending the home is fun. Then the final battle where it's the balled off.
The before that, the whole car like ladder thing.
Oh my god, that's so goofy.
That's so goofy.
They gotta hold on to the helicopter, and more cars just keep winching on, and it's like, that's the family. They don't even have to say it. It's
they don't have to say it.
Family. They're sticking together to take down Idris Elba.
Yeah, and the balled off. The way that it's shot, it's a little weird, where it's like it's slow-mo.
Yeah,
but it's enough to where I was like,
I think they're trying to.
It's goofy.
Incorporate the fact that Idris Elba's like a cyborg. I think that's what that's
literally
supposed to
he's
be
like Teen Titans cyborg.
He's actually just he sees. I thought it was so funny, like how many shots they have of like his cyborg vision, and it's a guy like pointing a gun at him, and it's like 93% hostile probability. It's like, oh fucking, you think?
Yeah, exactly.
How many scientists worked on something that the human brain has had for millions of years? A threat detection system.
And this dude has a transformer.
He has a transforming bike.
Yeah, and the sound that it makes, it's like it sounds like the Autobot like transformation. I was like, oh my god.
That stuff's cool. That's a fun. They have a much better dynamic in this movie than Fast 8. Mm-hmm. Well, I like their dynamic in Fast 8, but it feels like a beta for this movie.
Yeah, it feels like they're testing the waters for
like in Fast
spin-off.
8, they randomly just start making jokes, and it's like, wait, what? Do they like each other? Now, what? Why? Like, I don't even see why you would respect him.
Yeah.
In this, it feels like it's kind of earned, where they're forced into this situation together. And again, I mentioned this is one of my favorite tropes, where two enemies have to work together for a common. I love that.
It kind of reminds me of like a car goofy version of like The Emperor's New Groove. like two guys that are like, okay, we don't like each other.
Who's Cusco?
The Rock, I guess.
Really? You think he's?
Yeah, I think
Jason Statham's
Pacha.
I would have flipped it the other way because
really?
of physicality, but
I was just gonna say in terms of character, like The Rock's the more eccentric one, and then
I guess
Jason Statham's a little more level-headed.
The Rock, I wouldn't say The Rock's eccentric. I'd say he has a big personality.
He's a big man, big personality.
Jason Statham is Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Oh man, I want to do the flip kick. I want to do a flip kick, take out 3 guys. That's him. That's who he plays in every movie where he's good. And he's in the Transporter where he drives a car really fast. Mm-hmm. I've seen every Transporter
I've only
movie.
seen the third one for some reason. I don't know why.
That sucks.
Oh, really?
Because the first one's actually pretty good. It's pretty enjoyable.
I can watch some of them.
The third one, it's actually like a good movie, and then beginning with 2, it goes into like Fast and Furious stuff.
Oh, really?
The first movie is actually The first movie is like the first Fast and Furious.
Uh-huh.
The second Transporter movie is like probably Fast 5.
Okay.
And the third one is
F9.
Fate. Because that's the gimmicky one.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's got to transport the president's daughter or something like that.
Oh, so he's
He takes a piss in a convenience store.
Does someone assassinate the president?
I don't remember. It's been forever.
Okay.
But he doesn't get... I don't think there's a JFK. But,
okay.
Yeah, I like how like they're forced in this situation. They kind of have to begrudgingly... They actually have a moment where someone's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Everyone in the world is going to die.
The whole conflict is that the sister character
has
COVID.
Has ultra COVID.
Ultra COVID. It's funny that this movie came out a few months before the pandemic.
Yeah, that's funny.
So did Hobbs and Shaw predict the pandemic?
Yeah.
They didn't save us.
Johnson 19.
Johnson 19.
They're like, what the fuck are you doing? And they're like, you're kind of right.
Yeah.
It makes me like both characters more because eventually they're like, wait, we could kind of put aside our differences, even if we don't like each other, because they still don't 100% like each other.
Yeah.
But they can at least respect each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of a dynamic by the end where they're like, whatever, we'll call it off for now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't know, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I genuinely had a really good time with it. It was honestly...
Upon rewatch, I liked it more.
I wasn't like laughing out loud, but I was consistently entertained. It was probably the quietest we'd been in any of the movies.
Yeah, because we were generally...
Partially because you were asleep for 5 minutes, but...
Yeah, because I was tired.
Because it's just kind of a fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
And you just kind of want to let it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Fast 9.
We're at F9 finally.
How do you feel about F9?
I had to think about it again, like F8. I was like, how do I feel about this one?
Yeah.
I'm very, very 50-50 about it.
I'm going to move the microphone closer.
Okay.
There you go.
On one hand, I like how this is the movie where they finally took everyone's like criticisms and like comments where they're just like they're like
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They're just like, how come you guys haven't jumped the shark yet? And this movie kind of is like the response to that, where it's like, you want us to jump the shark? We'll jump
over the moon.
We'll jump over the moon. Hint, hint.
Literally.
And to its credit, those moments work. The most absurd parts of this movie work. Everything else? No, it does not. When it tries to be a drama, when it tries to be serious...
Oh my god, yeah.
It kind of feels like a parody.
There's moments in this that feel... I think I first said this in F7. We're just going to call them F whatever.
Yeah, F what?
It's going to be the Function Key series. Where I said that... I think I made a joke about, we're just done pretending these are real movies or something.
Uh-huh. And it's like they heard us.
This was like, no, now we're done pretending these are real movies.
Yes.
Fucking... I feel like whoever wrote this movie disliked Cypher as much as I did. Because she has these lines that are like, this feels like it's trying to embarrass the actress.
Yeah.
Do you remember when she calls... Oh my god. We'll get to John Cena in a second. Mm-hmm. When she calls John Cena a pawn, like...
you're a pawn in your own game.
Jacob the Pawn or something. And he goes, what'd you say? And she goes... I said, Jacob Khan, one of Genghis Khan's brothers, and John Cena looks at her like, what? And she goes, I don't know who that is. And she goes, most people don't. I'm like, is this like a fucking absurdist like, what is this?
Yeah.
I'm trying to even think of what kind of... It feels like fucking joke from Enter the Florpus.
Yes.
It feels like an Invader Zim joke.
Like an Invader Zim, like an Austin Powers joke.
Like where they, like no one knows, like
like what? Okay.
Like where they wink at the camera. That's when someone would be like, she'd pull out the script and go, I don't know, they just wrote it for me.
They just wrote it.
I think the writers are I think the writers are messing with me. That's a funny joke. That should be in an Austin Powers movie. He says something dumb and he takes out the script. I think you're messing with me now.
Yeah, that's totally something that could be in an Austin Powers movie.
That'd be a great bit.
Yeah.
So F9. This movie was really weird and confusing for me because it's so extreme in so many ways. It's like the Guilty Gear Plus R of Fast and Furious. I'm joking.
I don't play Guilty Gear, so I don't know what you mean.
It's like a monument to excess.
Sure.
Except Plus R is one of my favorite games.
Okay.
And I'm very confused about this movie. So it has really dumb stuff in it that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it has a lot of stuff that I really don't care for. And it's that, like...
And that takes up most of the movie for me.
The fucking... You could put, like, a supercut of... It would probably be, like, an hour long of movies from the last 10 to 15 years at this point that have a scene where a character... Oh, my God. The CIA control room. It's dark, and there's a bunch of people at computers and someone walking around... And a bunch of windows pop up on screens really fast, and it's all white and blue and black for some reason, even though there isn't really an operating system that looks like that, really. Also, the US government uses Windows XP.
Yeah.
They use Windows XP.
Yeah, they do.
That's real. So, like, the idea that they're using some advanced thing, it's like, actually, we need this to be compatible with a program that was written in, like, 2003, so we gotta use Windows XP. That's like a point where I check out of a movie.
Yeah.
When you start having scenes like that where I'm like...
And you literally did check out for an hour.
Negative. Oh, yeah, I had to fucking take a nap in the middle of this, and we paused it. I had to take a nap because I was tired. I also, like, feel like I got an hour less of sleep than I needed last night. I was like, I think I'm just gonna close my eyes. I felt pretty good after I opened my eyes. I didn't fall asleep entirely.
No, you didn't.
But I closed my eyes for a bit. I felt so comfy, dude. Even when you were crushing me on the sofa, watching whatever. What the fuck are you watching?
Oh, I was doing homework.
Oh, you did homework.
I did
I forgot.
homework.
I feel like I woke up to you watching something, or like
Maybe I was reading something.
Rebooted to something,
Yeah.
and then I had some water. I felt great. I was like, all right, back to whatever the hell is going on in this movie. So the most interesting thing about it is John Cena.
Really?
Oh, for me, absolutely.
I thought you did not care for him.
He's the most I think he is the most interesting thing, which tells you a lot about this movie.
Hey, I'm on the defense that John Cena is a good actor.
Oh, I think he is.
I think he's a very
I'm
good
not
actor.
saying his performance is bad or even that the character is bad. It's just that, like, it feels like a soap opera. My secret brother.
That is true.
Well, he was not a secret brother. He's just the brother that we haven't mentioned up to this point.
Yeah.
Who also, dude, the line where someone says, I didn't realize you had Nordic genes, Dominic.
That feels like a fake
I know, it feels like a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're trying to justify why they cast John Cena to be Vin Diesel's brother.
When they don't look alike.
They look literally nothing alike. This is like their dad cheated or something like that. That would have made way more sense.
If they just said that would have made sense.
That would have made way more sense. But for some, no, it had to be that and it's never, their mom never even comes up.
Nope.
It could have literally just been he had two kids from two different moms. And he raised them together and never really told them what the deal was or something like that.
Such an oversight.
You could have made this... I don't know, man. It's not even that important. Okay,
it's more of a nitpick.
It's a nitpick, but
it's still a big nitpick.
It's so glaring in every scene where where they're staring at each other. Like, you, my brother... It turns into Warhammer again. My brother, you betrayed the Imperium. Horus! And you're supposed to believe that they're brothers and they look nothing alike. At least in Warhammer, all the Primarchs looking completely different is because they were like fucking weird genetic experiments from like just a bunch of random DNA together.
Yeah.
John Cena is the most interesting part because like he actually has some emotional. He adds like an emotional investment that's really missing from Fast 8.
Yeah.
Where like Fast 8 has like, oh, he's betrayed us, but more so that like you as the audience are waiting for everyone to figure out the truth, and it's like just kind of like, okay, I'm looking at my clock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are you gonna figure it out yet or no?
What?
This is like, okay, there's some emotional heart to it, which I think is the part that I liked about Fast and Furious, the fourth movie, which is that Dominic has an actual motivation to be doing the things that he's doing. I feel like Mia gets really sidelined in this movie.
And she's reintroduced.
And she comes back, because I guess they wanted her back. But it makes sense?
I guess she just wants to be there.
It's so funny, because, like, if Brian was really alive, these feel like movies that they would rope him into.
Yes.
If the actor was still alive.
Yeah.
But Mia shows up, and weirdly, I feel like you kind of forget that she is also John Cena's sibling.
Which, again, nothing alike. If
Yeah.
you were to compare those two.
Yeah, nothing. You could just say you could have literally just said Dominic and Mia were from one mom, and Jacob was from another, and it would have been totally fine. I think it might have been more interesting because the one thing they had that connected them was their dad. Then by blood. So like it is kind of fun to see the actual scene where Dominic beats a man half to death with a wrench. Well, it's not shown directly. It's
not shown,
but you see you see the lead up.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking the young Vin Diesel actor, or the one who's supposed to play him in the flashback.
Yes, there are flashbacks in this movie.
It's weird. He's almost there in terms of the look.
But the lips, you said, was the thing.
He has like bigger lips. He has different looking lips in a weird way.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel has little white man lips.
Yeah.
And this guy looked like he had vaguely, you could also kind of see it in his eyes. A little bit in his like other facial features. He has kind of like African like features that I found like he's almost there. He looked mixed.
Yeah.
He looked mixed with something.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, I almost believe it. The casting for young John Cena was actually pretty decent.
I'd say it's closely spot on.
Yeah. Though you mentioned those scenes in the 80s look nothing like the 80s or the 90s.
Okay, yeah, I do have a big pet peeve with those flashbacks. They feel more like scenes that could be flashbacks of the first movie.
Yeah.
Rather than like them being... It's because I think it takes place in 1989.
The race accident happens in 1989.
Yeah.
Dominic goes to jail. I can imagine
Let's say like
it's
1990.
It's at least like 90, early 90s.
Early 90s.
When the second flashback is.
Nobody dresses.
Oh, yeah,
Nobody's hair.
The fashion, everything's completely off.
It's complete. The cars also kind of off. The music choices. I mean, that's like a nitpick, but it's, again, you could have used like Kid and Play or something, or like some like rap group.
Something topical.
Vanilla Ice or something. Something.
Vanilla Ice.
It would have worked. It's just like some people would be like, oh, whatever, it's a flashback. I'm like, can you at least just try? At least be authentic.
Yeah, it did not look. None of the girls' hairs none of them had big 80s hair.
No big 80s.
Everyone had big 80s hair.
Or like early 90s hair.
Or even early 90s like lesbian hair.
Yes. Nothing like that.
Why don't women look like that anymore? God damn it.
The sitcom hair.
Yeah. Sitcom hair.
Yeah. Those flashbacks are... They're there.
Dude, F9 is this weird kind of blur for me. Like it's a really fast car or something.
Yeah.
I get so upset every time they say the word like, we need to be fast, or going fast isn't enough. And I'm like, dude, just fucking say it. They have to be saving it for the last movie. They have to be saving the full title drop for the last movie.
They have to.
It's... What even happens in 9? It's like...
I'm surprised you didn't bring up your boy coming back.
Holy shit! Oh my god, Han! Han comes back. They go back to Tokyo. She sees a Mexican flag. She's like, that's like Han. Sure, I guess. And then Han is sniping bad guys from a different roof. Okay.
Again, off screen.
Again, off-screen bullets. Off-screen bullets. You're right. The third most powerful thing in Fast and Furious movies. And Han's back, and that was like right after my nap.
Yeah.
I sat up. I was like, okay, now I'm awake. How the fuck are they going to explain him coming back? And they kind of don't. So
they do and they don't.
The problem is that when Han dies in Tokyo Drift, he dies.
He's dead.
It has been the writer's intent every movie up to this one that Han is dead at this point in the story. Like, as far as everyone is concerned, he's gone. And I was fine with that. Bringing him back was like, this is so soap opera. This is so soap opera. Actually, Mr. Nobody, which is kind of a cringe name. It feels like something like it's really trying to be like cool. Just give him like a normal guy name. Like Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Agent Smith, yeah.
Yeah. Like just give him some like Mr. Parker or something like that. Like something really generic. That's probably a fake name. He like they don't ever explain like how he actually like the actual ins and outs of what happened. Yeah, the car exploded. Yes, Shaw like T-boned it and then it blew up. But it wasn't Han in the car?
It was a hologram.
How do you know it was a hologram? You keep saying hologram. How do you know it's a hologram?
Because what else could it be? It couldn't be a double. Or like a stunt double. There's no way it could be.
Or was he pulled out of the car?
Because they clearly show, like, even before the explosion happens, they pan to Mr. Nobody, and Han's right there.
And he's right there.
So
he's with him, yeah.
It has to be a hologram.
I was like, okay. Was there like a 5-second interval where someone grabbed Han out of the car or something like that? No. And here's what I got confused with was, and I honestly actually think this is going to be answered in the next movie. So Shaw fully intended, I'm like, okay, is it that they staged his death? No, that doesn't make sense because Shaw
intended to kill him.
Shaw was rogue at that point.
Yeah.
He'd broken into the CIA. He'd found out who Toretto's team was. Went to Tokyo to kill Han.
Yeah.
Kill Han. That was like completely... That was not staged,
no, it was
right?
No.
So did they know that he was going to try to kill him? I could maybe see a scene where they're like... I could maybe see a scene in the next movie. We're theorizing now.
Yeah.
Where
our Fast 10
they reveal
FX.
Where they reveal that they saw that the one person Shaw got from when he broke into the CIA headquarters in 7, the one person he found was Han. And because Han was a valuable asset, they they contacted him in Tokyo and said that he's probably going to try to kill you. And we're going to... I don't know what gobbledygook nonsense they're going to pull. I could maybe see a thing where they knew that there was at least a likelihood that Shaw was going to try to kill Han. And so they set up a way for him to fake his death and live off the grid.
Yeah.
And but there's still a moment. This is the post credits in F9.
Yes. Yeah.
Where Shaw is... It's actually really funny. Where he's got the punching bag and he reveals that inside the punching bag is like the dictator's son from the movie. Okay, that's fun. I like that. He's a little shit. He gets punched a bunch. Punch a bunch. And then he gets a knock on the door and it's Han. And they've got unfinished business. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They can still turn it around. The fact that like it felt like such a weird half-explained way to bring back a character, I like Han a lot. He's probably one of my favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the one character I really like unironically.
Okay.
I feel like every other character, I guess also Shaw,
Sure.
which is funny because it's ironic. But like Dominic, Hobbs, and like Tyrese, I fucking love those characters, but it's because they're written so dumb
Yes.
that I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Han, I genuinely think is cool.
Yeah, he's a cool character.
So I'm like, oh, I kind of wish they just let him stay dead if they're not going to give a decent explanation, but I could see potentially them turning it around in FX, which is, I think, just what they're called, or Fast X.
No, it's called FX.
Oh, just FX. Oh, that's great. I hope the next one's FX2. Oh, and the 2 turns into an 11. It's like a Roman numerals. It's Fast and Furious, but it's Fast 11, but the A is an X.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
Like facts. Like your profile username from 2009, and the 11 is behind it.
Yeah.
In like Roman numerals, because it's like Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah.
Where it's like a 2 in Roman numerals because it was kind of setting up MK2. Dude, fucking hire me as the logo designer for that movie. Fast with 10 and then 2 in the back because it's the second part.
Yeah.
It's 10-2 like Final Fantasy, but also it's the 11th. Dude, I'm so excited. I hope that's the logo. I'm gonna be super disappointed if it's not.
We'll see.
Anything else about Fast 9? Oh God, all the dumb shit. Okay, so
I was gonna say space.
So space. So I felt a little spoiled because that is like the first thing I saw of this series.
Of the
really.
series, yes.
Was you showing me that scene and I couldn't believe it.
Had you not seen that before we started this marathon, I can't imagine what your reaction would be. Probably the same as the first time you saw it.
But the same in the same sense, we never would have started on this journey if you hadn't shown me that scene.
That's true. That's true. It wouldn't. This wouldn't have started because I have
to give it up to those two dogs from the ghetto. What's the line? Like 2 dudes from the hood or something?
2 dudes from the ghetto.
Yeah, that's
in
what
outer
it is.
Space.
In outer space. Who was in space, Kanye? Who was in space?
Who was in space?
Who's in space?
I wonder.
There's been black astronauts, right? Yeah, there's been black astronauts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I was like, the first
black.
Dude, if there weren't actual black astronauts
before this movie,
they totally would have thrown on the line without that. Like, first black dudes in space, something really dumb like that.
Hey, Leonard Part 6, what are you talking about?
Tyrese would have said it. I'm like a blastronaut.
They would have. I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they didn't.
So they have to go to space. Oh, the Tokyo Drift crew comes back.
Yeah, Luke is black, Bow Wow, and some other guy that was in the background.
That Asian guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about how in Furious 7, I think, you see what happens when Dominic...
after the race.
When Dominic goes back to Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly where it happens.
Yeah.
He goes back to Tokyo to get some information. That happens like actually in the middle of the movie. And they have the actor, what is something black you said?
Lucas Black.
Lucas Black. And he looked like he was 30 in Tokyo Drift.
Yes.
He looks like he should have like a wife and a mortgage in this movie. And he's still supposed to be like a high schooler, like maybe a senior. Mm-hmm. And they put so much makeup on him.
They do.
They put so much makeup on him to try and de-age him. Mm-hmm. And then it all falls apart where there's a shot where he's got his arms crossed. And you look at, these are 40-year-old man arms. These are not like even 19-year-old buff guy arms. These are 40-year-old buff guy arms.
I mean, give or take, at least it takes place after the fact. Like probably a few years after.
No, that scene in Furious 7 takes place...
I mean F9.
In F9, that might take place a year or two. It's not as bad because I feel like they just give up pretending that he, like, we're not...
It's like, we know.
Gonna even acknowledge that you're in high school or you're maybe in college, something like that.
Maybe.
He's got held back really long. Maybe that's the explanation.
That'd be funny.
In Tokyo Drift of why he looks like he's 30, because he's literally 30.
Yeah.
Because he just got held back. Being in the junior year. He's like another lap around NASCAR. It's like tent lap.
Tent lap.
Right. They come back, and I'm like, that's fine. That's cool. It really feels like the Marvel Universe, where they just start bringing people back.
Yeah, this is when they start bringing people back from movies, and it starts to like sink in. Like, you really do need to watch all of these.
Yo, yeah. And I don't mind that. I don't mind it when they show back up. They are enjoyable. They have a fun. Oh, this is a little trio of friends,
and they're the ones that establish space.
That give us space because
because of them.
They're doing stuff with rockets.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. They get to see Han.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit! They get to see
Han's
Han
back.
again. That's cool.
I don't know who else is back.
I think they're the main ones who are back.
Yeah, mostly just them. Basically, just Tokyo Drift reunion.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I'm sure. That was cool. And then like, so they go to space to stop the bad guy's satellite. They run into it really fast with their really fast car. They drive a car really fast.
Yeah.
And then I guess the day is saved, and is that the end? I think that's the climax.
That's literally it. Yeah. I mean, the whole people on land have their own climax, but it's just not really.
What are they doing?
Little magnet shits.
Oh, the magnets! I forgot about the magnets.
Yeah.
That feels like the magnets, the grapple hook in Fast 5.
Mm-hmm.
2. No, 6, sorry. That feels like when the new game comes out and we got a new funny mechanic. It feels like Mega Man when they're like, now he can kick a soccer ball.
Yeah.
Now Dominic's got a soccer ball that he can kick around. Isn't that great? Now Dominic has a little dog that turns into a suit of armor. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have these magnets that seem to only pull the things that are convenient for the plot.
Yeah.
Like big cars.
Very big cars.
There's like kind of a fun scene where they tip the truck over on its front. The giant truck over.
Oh, you mean the one you called schlock?
That's when I said this is, it goes into full-on schlock. To me, I define schlock very specifically as big, dumb, stupid, derivative nonsense. And the previous movies were big, dumb, and stupid. But I wouldn't call them derivative.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at least not from my perspective.
Okay, some might see it as that.
Many people would, but I will defend 1, 2. I'll defend Tokyo Drift a little bit. I think it's a fun movie. I'll sort of defend Fast and Furious. I'll defend Fast 5.
Mm-hmm.
I have nice things to say about 6. 7's the last one that's actually good.
Hobbs and Shaw.
That's a spin-off.
That's true.
Come on. Oh, what do we call it? Fast and Furious Gaiden?
Fast and Furious Gaiden is essentially what that is.
Do you have anything else to say about Fast 9? The Fast Saga?
2 things.
Yeah.
One, that scene with the bridge. Fucking stupid.
What scene with the bridge?
Where they pull a Tarzan and they should be
dead.
Oh,
that's the other one you showed me when you showed me the space theme scene.
That's not this. No, I'm talking about the.
You showed me that afterwards.
Oh, after.
You were like, they swing a car off a vine.
One more thing.
Yeah.
That scene where Tyrese pretty much is aware
how
fucking stupid this is.
There's this scene where you feel like Tyrese Gibbons, aka Roman Pierce, is becoming self-aware that he's in a movie, and he goes, isn't it really weird? Okay, here's the thing. One of the morphings of characters is that Tyrese becomes like the resident trailer line guy.
Yes.
Because his whole personality is that one scene from Fast 5 where he explains what's going on. This is crazy. Which he also kind of did that in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yes, he did.
And that's also in the trailer. Where he goes, what did he say? Like, guns, drugs, and crooked cops. This is my game. Or whatever. This is my jam. He's been the guy who goes like, you're telling me that we have to stop Obama from running for a third term by driving a car into the sun. You're telling me we have to cure COVID? I'm not doing the wrong accent. I'm doing Sean.
Yeah, you're doing Sean.
I'm doing Bama Boy 93. Where he goes, we've been on a lot of crazy missions, haven't we? We did this, we did that. And it's right after the scene where there's like 14 dudes around him. And they're all shooting machine guns at him in the center.
Yes.
And he manages to have every shot hit just his bulletproof vest.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wipes them all out by just shooting guns really good. And there's a moment where he stops, and I was right. I'm like, this is kind of pushing it as to like how lucky one character can be.
Yes.
And then he stops, and you see the smoke coming off of the bullet holes, which I don't even know if that is that how that works.
I don't know.
I guess it's just a way to show the audience how many bullets he just absorbed.
Yeah.
And he goes, he has this like holy shit look on his face, and I'm like, oh wait, did he acknowledge? And then he starts to be like, I just got shot like 1 billion times, and I'm like alive, and my vest just caught everything. Isn't that kind of weird to you guys? I feel like he's one step away from looking at the camera and saying, "Who are you?" That would be so funny if Tyrese's like character ends up going into like he's the only one who's aware that they're a movie.
It's like
and he can see the cameras. He can see the audio. Like he wakes he's doing Ferris Bueller stuff.
Ferris Bueller, Rick and Morty.
He's doing Fleabag stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing Fleabag. He's like that little scene you did.
Yeah.
And but everyone else just thinks he's schizophrenic.
Exactly.
That would be so awesome. He's
That
the
is
only
perfect.
one who can see the camera.
That'd be a really nice way to cap off the series.
That would be sick as fuck.
That'd be funny.
You ever notice how it's kind of a joke now?
Yeah, like this is kind of weird.
That would be fucking awesome. We should write the next movie.
We should. What's stopping us?
The cost of the license.
True.
Unless
Universal hires us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about
Fast and the Furious.
Fast and
you want to do the
Furious.
tier list now?
All right, we have a laptop in front of us to do this tier list.
Okay, we're going to describe.
So I have it.
Is all of them?
They were out of order, but I put them in order.
Okay, thanks.
So
all right. So, do we want to do a strict A B C D F?
There was an S, but I took that out because I don't think any of these movies are S.
I don't think any of these movies need S. I don't think it's necessary.
No. So I think.
Do you want to start off? Okay, I think that there's like 3 tiers of movies. There's the ones that are legitimately really good.
Let's just go in order.
Okay, fine. Okay, Fast and the Furious 1. I would put that.
I would say that's a B.
That's a strong B.
A strong B, like a B.
Top of B. Too Fast, Too Furious, I would say is A.
Yeah,
I think you agree too.
I would agree. An A.
Tokyo Drift is a C.
I think it's a D.
D. Really?
Yes. I think this is a D.
You think it's that? You think it's that boring?
Okay, it's not.
Think about all the Asian women.
Okay. I'll give you C.
Okay.
But Fast and Furious, I will put.
I drive a hard bargain.
I would put this in D.
That's Fast and Furious. That is okay.
I would put this in D. Honestly.
It's probably one of the least interesting ones. I would probably put it in the same tier as Tokyo Drift.
Okay, I'll give it to you low.
Low C. Let's say lowest possible of C. We'll order them later.
Yeah.
Fast 5 is A.
I'll put it B+. I gave you 2 on
fine.
C.
Okay, fine. We get B+.
That's still not terrible. Fast and Furious 6, I think it's A. I would say A.
I think it's B+.
God damn it. Fine.
Okay. 7, I would say is...
I'd say it's a solid B.
It belongs in the same tier as the original. I don't know if it's better than it.
You don't know if it's better.
I don't know if I would say that it's better.
I think it's better, but I don't think it's as good as these two. I mean, I'd say it's better than 5,
so
maybe.
hard. It's almost an apples and oranges situation.
Yeah, I know. Can I just drop it here?
Drop it here. We'll figure it out later.
Okay.
Okay. Fate of the Furious is D.
Okay. I can do.
You can deal with that.
I can deal with that. I would say C minus, but I can deal with the D.
Okay. F9. Sorry, not F9.
Hobbs and Shaw. A.
A.
I think
A.
it's better than Too Fast. I think it's better than Too Fast.
I might put them in my relative enjoyment, probably on par.
Okay.
In different ways, but I enjoy them in different ways, but on par. F9 is C.
Oh man.
Better than Tokyo Drift.
Better than Tokyo Drift, really?
Maybe.
Really?
I don't know. I'm
you know what?
trying to appeal to you.
I can do that. Yeah. I think it's
okay.
I don't think it's as bad as these two.
All right.
But it's not good.
So, what are the ones? So, I guess the big contention is, do we think Furious 7 is better or worse?
I think it's better than the first one.
I think about the first one, and the first one is so pure to me. The first one has such a vibe, and they're like they feel like polar opposites in a lot of ways.
You know what? I'll give this one to you.
You think so?
I'll let you put the first one over 7.
It's not the widest margin, right?
It's not. It's really not a wide margin.
It's not like way better. It's just
they're on par with each other.
If I had to rewatch one of them, I would probably rewatch the original.
The original. Okay.
Also because it's shorter.
That is true. Furious 7 is very long.
So this is the list that we can agree on.
This is the list, yeah, I think we can agree on.
If I had to make a personal tier list, the only thing I would change, I would say A tier is Too Fast, Fast 5, Hobbs and Shaw. B tier would be 6, Fast and Furious, the original. Yeah. This might be C tier, the meh tier would probably go to Tokyo Drift is probably the top of that.
Okay.
Personally. And then underneath Tokyo Drift I would put Oh no, wait, I'll put Furious 7 in B tier. What am I talking about? And probably like this underneath Fast and Furious. C tier would be at the top of my C tier. I would say is Tokyo Drift, then Fast and Furious, and then at the very tail end, by a decent margin, is F9.
F9, okay.
And D is Fate of the Furious.
Okay, mine would be A, Hobbs and Shaw, Furious 6, and 2 Fast 2 Furious.
Okay.
B would be Fast 5. Pretty much the same. Pretty much this, except I would
switch
Furious. I just move this up 1. Pretty much everything would be the same.
Would you put Furious 7 over the original?
Yes, I would. Actually, I'll put them on par. I don't know.
Okay.
It might change depending on how I just feel.
Even in their tier.
C would be F9, and then D would be Fate of the Furious, Tokyo Drift, and I'd put Fast and Furious in F.
Okay.
Maybe D minus, but I think I'd
Whoa, you really don't like...
It's very boring. I just...
Okay.
Yeah. So that'd pretty much be my ranking.
Okay. I think we generally have...
Pretty much except for like Tokyo Drift and
Fast and
Furious.
There's a couple exceptions. And I don't even like those movies a ton.
I really don't.
I think I just like them more than you do.
Yeah.
I think they're perfectly... I think Tokyo Drift is a fine movie. I think it's like a pretty well constructed... It does feel like a reboot.
It just feels like, why watch this when there are so many better ones?
That's true, but I'm looking at it as like a standalone movie. I think it's pretty decent. It has some fun characters. There's some fun... There's some entertaining stuff about it.
It feels like the most... I think this one is the most wasted potential.
I think that opening scene in Tokyo Drift, where it's Bama Boy and he's drift racing and he fucks up, is really good. I think that's a fun sequence.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, and then Fast and Furious I think is honestly just kind of funny.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think it's fun. I think it's very dreary.
I have to say, I started off not funny intentionally.
Oh, okay.
I have to say that I started off watching these with the context that all I've heard about these movies is that they're stupid and they're bad. And then I knew a guy in Boy Scouts who fucking loved them and cried in Furious 7 when It's Been a Long Day and Without You, My Friend. And that's like all the context I had for this series. watching this, I started off laughing at it, like pointing fingers. And I think by the end of the first movie, I was starting to come around to like unironically liking it. Too Fast, Too Furious, I started unironically having a great time. And then I don't know where I was going with this. I have a newfound respect for the series. And disrespect. I have a layered relationship with the Fast and Furious franchise, the Fast Saga, if you will. And this is your first time seeing a lot of these, isn't it?
I've seen most of the recent ones, but the older ones is where I was like, oh yeah, I kind of don't remember a lot of these. And I pretty much, my thoughts on this franchise, sans some of them, have not changed. I pretty much just think it's that franchise. It's that franchise for people who just don't.
It's just that guy.
It's just like you don't want something. Are you just not in the mood for like some sophisticated A24 type bullshit? Are you tired of the Marvel movies? This is your franchise.
Until the later movies where it's just Marvel. It's just Diet Marvel.
Essentially Diet Marvel, but still, they're willing to pander to that audience that's just like, we love cars. Cars and
Prox,
if you're listening to this, this is for you.
And titties and cool dudes. I have to ask Prox if he's seen these.
Prox, if you're
listening, if you're out there, but I can literally just DM him right now. I'm actually really curious if he's seen them and what he thinks about them.
Yeah. He might have a completely different...
If he hasn't seen these, actually that would probably be a pretty fun watch along as well.
Oh yeah.
With him.
Do like a little Adam and Friends type thing.
Yeah. Him. I'm like, so Prox. Because Prox basically told me everything about cars.
Except for these movies, apparently.
But he never mentioned the NOS button. Every single one... When they hit the NOS button, the speedy button?
Yep.
It's like they go Super Saiyan.
Yeah, essentially.
It's so funny. All right.
Parting.
We're 3 hours in.
Are we? Oh my god. We talked 3 hours about these damn movies?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's a hefty fella.
Yeah. He's just like The Rock and Vin Diesel combined. They're hefty fellas.
They're hefty guys, dude. The Boulder. I gained a respect for certain elements of this series. I genuinely think some of the writing is great. In the way that I can appreciate really dumb shit that's just trying to be fun.
Yes. In terms of franchises that are just meant to be fun, this is the franchise.
This has some of the strongest entries in just fuck around, dude.
Yes.
Just have some goof fun. Even when it's trying to take itself seriously, because then it becomes funny. Then it becomes awesome.
Yeah.
The recent few movies have really gotten like, they're very hit or miss with me. And I feel like it has like a power scaling problem as a series.
Sure.
The stakes are so high that I don't even give a fuck anymore. And it feels like much colder in a lot of ways. I'm not even talking about the color palette.
Yeah.
Just like all the characters kind of end up feeling like they're sort of fitting into slots. They're sort of just like, I don't know. There's like, the best parts are still the banter.
Yeah.
It's still when they're messing around is some of the best parts of all of even the recent movies. I think what was great about the first couple is that it was primarily that. And it was like weirdly, I don't want to say character driven, although characters were driving.
Yes.
But it was like really personality focused. And the recent ones feel much more plot objective driven, and the characters are just kind of along for the ride and kind of shuttled from place to place.
Yeah.
Which is like fine, but I feel like they weren't built for that. I almost feel like it's part of the reason for the weird changes the characters undergo.
Yeah.
Where like well, we need people on the team to fulfill specific roles. Whereas, like, in Too Fast, Tyrese was there because wouldn't this be a fun character? Well, Tyrese was there because Vin Diesel didn't sign on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, oh, wouldn't this is a fun dynamic for Paul Walker to have to bounce off of.
Yeah.
That might be what makes Hobbs and Shaw work really well.
Yeah.
In the first movie, it was like this intense, just homoerotic tension that was just everywhere. It was this like, oh, are they going to find out he's a cop? I think even in like Fast 5 and 6, oh, there's all these characters that we like, and they're all together, and they're interacting constantly, and they're getting into wacky hijinks. And then as you get to like really starting with Furious 7, it's like, well, people need to have roles on the team because, well, we're doing like a spy story, and we got to have a hacker guy, and we got to have a hacker girl, I guess, and we got to have a comic relief character, and we got to have, because it's like we need to fulfill the plot. The plot is the main focus, and not like the character dynamics. You're doing that look where you're like, Tygan's talking for a while. I'm going into shutdown mode. You look up when I'm talking about Warhammer.
Because I'm like, how do you have so much to say about this franchise? I'm shocked.
Have you listened to my podcast? I have a lot to say about everything.
But this I'm like, I thought we were about to wrap up, honestly.
What are your closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts? Yeah, it's that franchise.
Thanks, Kat.
You're welcome. See you soon, Fast, until May.
Until May.
End of May or something.
End of May. We'll probably go see that in theaters,
Yeah,
and we'll report back. We might do an in-person podcast together. Again. That would be fun. Hasn't this been fun?
Oh, yeah, it has been.
Yeah. We just have to remember to talk towards the microphone more.
I know. I've been bending back. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, she's lazing around.
Lazing around. I'm a little garf right now.
You're a little garf. You're always a little garf.
I'm a little garf.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you've been listening to us this long, thank you for listening to us ramble. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I will definitely get to them next time. But please leave it in the form of a question, because I'm not just going to read your thoughts out loud. Main channel video coming up very soon. On my Patreon. What else do I say at the end of these?
Yeah, I know.
And bye.